Tonight or what?
Yeah, we are gonna party.
So, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
Hey, Lashy Kids and Driving Mutants. Welcome to a special Saturday chill stream, and I have some special guests with me today. Joining me are Terrence Miguena from the Terrence Miguena Show.
Hi there.
Mark from Dark Mego Entertainment, and Kiki, who is Miss New Haven and also the owner of Kiki Marie Styles. Let's say what's up to the chat. Tony Man says, I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. For my monster from his slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise, he did the monster mash. He did the mash. He did the monster mash. But you got almost all the lyrics right. And I apologize if I speak with a lisp today. The vampire teeth are making me have a little bit of a lisp. Oh, he continues. It was a graveyard smash. He did a mash. It caught on in a flash. He did a mash. He did the monster mash. Raven Starborn says, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hello. Hi.
And then Tony Man says, Naja Doll for the win. And Tony T is here, and they say, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi.
Now, a couple things I want to do before we get into our little discussion. just want to let everybody know on my other channel, I'm still doing 90 Day Fiancé reviews and 90 Day The Single Life, which, as you can see, is a mess.
See that they've started the
And-
UK 90 days as well.
Yes, I did do 90 Day UK. They only
Oh.
had, I think, only 8 episodes, and they didn't have a reunion show. I thought that was kind of messed up. They should have a reunion show. On Mondays, I'm still on Hood Podcast, and the last thing that we reviewed was She-Hulk season 1. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's not the last thing. That was the week before last. The last thing we reviewed was House of the Dragon and how it measured up to Rings of Power, or as I like to call it, Rings of Boredom.
Mm.
This is Mark's channel, Dark Mego.
Yeah.
And we will
kinda-
premiere we will premiere the Ghost of VHS trailer a little bit later in this broadcast.
Cool.
And this is Terrence's channel. And as you can see, he does not only horror movie reviews, but he also does a lot of things musically. Like he does cover songs, and he looks like he's done a Halloween Ends tribute mix.
Yeah, I wish I never. All that excitement for nothing.
And
That's
this
just my
is
opinion. Sorry.
well, like I said, your name now means one who makes music.
Oh.
This is Kiki Mary Styles' website, and she is having a store-wide sale in which you don't need a discount code at all. So that's really cool.
Yes. And these are from Kiki Mary Styles. We have a little mix of everything. Accessories, clothes. Check us out.
Very cool.
I'm going to call your costume Disco Queen.
I was trying to embody Diana Ross.
Oh, nice.
That's cool.
But my ring light just died, so natural light it is.
It
Yeah.
still looks nice.
Thank you. Thank you. And you guys all look great as well.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate it.
So what should we talk about first? Usually the chat gives us wait, do you have Tony Man says, do you have bikinis in my size?
We support all sizes. Like, what's your size now?
Okay, I have a good question. What was the last horror movie that you each watched?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Does Jeffrey Dahmer count on Netflix?
Yes.
Oh, I think it
that's,
does.
That's
That
horrific.
was
It
Yes.
scary.
definitely does.
I couldn't
Mhm.
even make it through the entire thing. I think I
Did
watched
you
it.
make it to episode 6 with Anthony? Oh, this is too bright.
No, I only
There we
got to like episode 2 or 3, maybe.
Oh,
That was horror for me. That was scary.
yeah. Well, it's a very horrific story.
Yeah.
But I mentioned the episode Anthony because that episode is from the point of view of one of the victims, and it was very, very well done because this particular victim was deaf. So a lot of their point of view was done without any sound. And then there was sign language with subtitles as well, but it was just a beautifully done episode. I hope that actor gets nominated for an Emmy for what he did in that role.
I was like,
And there's another, that's not the only one that's about victims like that. They kind of, this is the only thing that I can say I liked about the Dahmer series, because typically I don't like them to get any more shine off of this stuff. And also it's kind of disrespectful how Netflix handled it because they didn't contact any of the families. So imagine being triggered that you go to turn on Netflix and there's your brother or your cousin or your son's killer on there. Like I feel like that was kind of handled badly. But what they did do positively is they kind of Trojan horsed it, where they advertised it as Dahmer, monster or something long title. But it's really not so much about him as it is about his victims and how the police kept on fumbling the investigation. So I thought that was really cool to show more of that, because one of the victims had gotten away and the police walked him back to Dahmer's apartment.
oh my God.
It's unbelievable.
I've seen that one. That was
Yeah.
insane. That's when he got caught, wasn't it?
No, that was
No.
he had 17 victims. That was the 12th victim.
Oh, no,
And they
no,
would
okay.
have caught him if all they did was check his ID,
Right.
because he already was a convicted I don't know if I can say it, an SA offender. He was already convicted of that, and the person that had gotten loose was a 14-year-old boy. So the cops walked a literal child back to Dahmer's apartment because Dahmer said he was his boyfriend and that he was 19. But if the police had just checked ID, just simple as checked ID, they would have found that this person is not 16, they're a child, and this person is a registered SA offender.
Yeah, I remember that one now.
Yeah, the neighbor I thought was fantastic as an actor. I mean, she just conveyed all the dread in just a few sentences here and there. I actually haven't finished the series yet as well. I've gotten through like maybe 5 or 6 episodes, but I thought it was terrific. I mean, I thought it was just shot really well. There's a lot of creative writing because you don't really know what the interactions were between him and his victims. So they had to create a lot of connective tissue there. And that's interesting to me in terms from a writing perspective, because it's a tightrope. And I know they didn't do the great job with working with the families, and it's very tough when you have something that's this vicious and this dark as a real life subject matter, and you're trying to even bring it into a media. It's a tough job. I don't think it's very easy. It'd be easier to just make a show like this with a created character. But this is a lot messier. But I thought they did a good job with the production.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is like an interesting take for sure. Because as me being the watcher, I was able to kind of take on all of those emotions, and a lot of that allowed me to feel those emotions through like the visuals and the writing. So if like a watcher can take on that, that means they kind of created that story well. So that is an interesting point of view.
Yeah. That's a tough show, though. I kind of had to take a break.
Yeah.
I called my mom and I said, "Mom, there's this great show on, but I don't know if even recommending it, if you're going to look at me sideways."
Yeah.
And she was like, "Well, I don't know if this is for us." And I was like, it probably isn't, but I got to say it's good. And again, a great cast. I think they had really good people doing really good acting. And I think that helps so much. You can't have something like this that's kind of a straight to video situation. It cheapens all of it, So I think they got some good people. I was surprised, especially with the neighbor, because she's a comedian usually. So I was like, wow, this is quite a step away from her usual work. She kind of does like a comedy.
We're always surprised.
Yeah.
We're always surprised when comedians do well in dramatic roles, but they always do. Yeah. Whether it's Bill Murray, Jamie Foxx, I think Jim Carrey has done dramatic. It's really wild how they're able to transition to dramatic acting.
Yeah. I always find that it's harder the other way when it's a more dramatic actor trying to convince us that they can be funny. It's I think most of the time when it's a comedian that's trying to do some dramatic work, it usually works out rather well. I can't think of anyone that's really fell on their face at that.
It may be that they get the vehicle they're looking for. I think of like Adam Sandler, for instance, whose most movies I cannot watch. I'm like, oh, I have something better to do. But his dramatic stuff I love, and just whether it's the kind of the love-stricken stuff he does or the newer, the last couple of movies he put out with the Diamond Exchange and the Running Around and all that stuff. I don't know exactly the name of that one. But
I think it's Uncut Gems.
Yes. He seems to just sink his teeth in and actually be like, oh, I'm present today. I'm actually going to do something. Whereas, so much of his other stuff just feels phoned in, So, yeah.
I'm going to jump into the chat again. The Clapper Loader says, "Hello, everyone. I totally thought Kiki was wearing a Pam Grier costume."
That works.
It still works.
Yeah.
I'm going to be that person and say, who's Pam Grier?
You're gonna cry. You're gonna make me cry. And this is why you are Gen Z and not millennial.
The youngest
I know
has joined the stream.
Yes, the youngest.
I just told my age, probably.
Pam Grier is are you familiar with the movie Foxy Brown?
Yes. Well, I never watched it, but I know who Foxy Brown is.
Yeah,
That's
we're
Pam
talking
Grier.
about the
Oh,
rapper.
The actress.
You're talking about the
Yeah.
rapper who
I
stole her
can see
name.
that.
Oh no, I'm not talking about the rapper Foxy Brown. I'm talking about the original Foxy Brown and also Coffee.
I
And
don't
Yeah.
I almost
Jackie
started to say
Brown.
Cleopatra Jones, but that's a different actress that plays Cleopatra Jones.
She was in Jackie Brown.
Yes. Yeah, Pam Grier was in Jackie Brown.
Yeah.
Tony Man says, I saw a dead stream this morning and fell asleep on it, as almost every movie, but what I saw, I was laughing. Yeah, it's a great horror comedy. The Clapper Loader says, all the D shows and movies that are out are just a step too far for me. I don't dare speak his name.
Yeah.
What's that a reference to? Is that...
Oh, Dahmer.
Dahmer.
They didn't want to say
okay,
Dahmer.
Mhm.
Tony Man says, if you watch the Netflix show and then watch the actual doc, there are discrepancies. Oh, there always are. They always do things for dramatic purposes. Even a neighbor. She's actually an amalgamation of 3 different neighbors.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
They tend to do that. They tend to like smoosh a bunch of people into one person in biopics all the time.
Brian says, go on, folk. And Johnson, the realtor, says, great conversation.
Thank you.
Reverend Starborn says, Lady Shasha looks like an undead. I am, technically. Actually, I'm dead, and out of this world. Tony said, thanks, Mark. I loathe Adam Sanders. Welcome to the Dark Side says, hey, everyone.
Right.
I mean, I should clarify. I loved him originally, but then I felt like just the amount of material that he has out there, it just really got stretched, So just lately, it seemed like he just wasn't really paying attention,
I like Happy Gilmore back in the day.
Yeah, the classics. Yeah.
Mine is The Water Boy. The Water Boy is a classic. I don't care what anyone says. That movie is still funny.
It is hilarious.
Jervis says Little Nicky is the only Adam film I can watch.
That one's good too. I like
Johnson, the realtor, says Pam is an old school hottie. And Jervis also says Sheba Baby. That's another Pam Grier movie, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like after this, I'm gonna have to look her up.
Oh, definitely. She's awesome. Yeah.
The Clapper Loader says, who is Pam Grier? I'm so old. They put, I'm so old. I liked Pam in Ghosts of Mars. I remember Ghosts of Mars. I forgot she was in that. She was also in The Substitute Part 2, I think she was in. She played one of the android teachers.
That's definitely
1999.
Yeah, it's a guilty pleasure of mine. The Substitute. That's a funny. It's just those action movies are kind of like that B grade. Yet,
I loved them. Invasion USA is so bad, but it's so good at the same time. If somebody gets shot with a rocket launcher, it's an 80s thing.
Yeah, like the movies where like the principals had to like take over the schools and stuff. It was funny.
I remember renting Class of 1999 and Shocker on the same day when they were just out. And, oh wow! I just had so much fun with those 2 films. Great.
Oh, I remember renting Shocker too. I remember being really, really happy with it. Especially, some people didn't like it because it wasn't as scary as what Nightmare on Elm Street was, and it was Wes Craven, so people were expecting it to be more scary than what it was. But it's still a great movie.
Yeah, it's good fun.
Eric Shosted, thank you for the correction. And the Clapper Loader also corrected me. It was Class of '99, not the sequel.
Okay.
Oh, to answer, I didn't even answer the question that I asked. The last thing that I watched, Tony Man says he saw Shocker in the theater. Wow. Lucky. What did I watch last night? Run, Sweetheart, Run. It was really, really good.
What's that about?
Wow.
It is about a woman. It's a new director. It's produced by Blumhouse. It's on Amazon Prime. And you know what? I could probably show the trailer. Let me pull up the trailer and then I can just change the speed.
Neat. I got to get you that TV, Shasha.
Well, what TV?
I was gonna get you that the little screen that you could put videos in.
Oh.
Yeah, we were talking about essentially, whenever you go on YouTube and you're trying to show footage, you're always getting claimed. People get claims for even when they change the footage or reverse it, there's issues. So I kind of came up with a little workaround, which is I'm going to draw a little TV VCR, and there'll be a little bit of a dot pattern over the screen so that you can put movies and films behind it, and you can show footage without getting claims because essentially it's like a patterning over the screen that kind of disrupts the
then I wouldn't have to play stuff in high, like I have to change the speed to like high speed or slow speed to show something. It kind of
like
takes
a watermark.
away.
It's like a watermark that kind of covers the screen. It just changed the image enough that the censors don't see it as a copyright image. Kind of changes it. So if you put it in a box and you kind of change the angle of the box, you change the shape of the projected screen. That way, essentially, you're distorting it in a way it doesn't get caught. So a lot of guys do it just in the background to kind of get around it because you want to be able to show or talk through what you're showing. And YouTube is so biased in terms of having big streamers. They really let them show more content. But smaller guys, they just seem to really clamp down. So it's tough.
Yeah, I usually have to submit a copyright dispute once a month. Most of the time they release it. The one company that I try not to mess with is Warner Brothers. They just, like I said, they literally clocked a YouTuber for having a Superman figurine in the background of their video.
Really? Wow.
That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen someone get clocked for.
Oh my God.
Paramount Discovery is also well known. CBS is well known.
Discovery?
Everybody. Yeah.
That's why I started doing live streams for 90 day instead of my edited videos, because every single 90-day video would get claimed, and then I would dispute it and they would release it the very next day, but I would have to do it over and over again. And I'm like, how many times do I have to dispute this and you release it the same or the next day? Like, this is ridiculous.
You lose your growth when you're constantly interrupted or have to re-upload. You lose those.
I was just gonna
growth
ask
numbers.
that. Do they like make you take it down, or do they take the audio out? Like,
no, what they do is when they claim your video, what they do is they take the ad revenue from your video.
Oh, okay. Wow.
But under fair use, you can use clips from a TV show or a movie if it's part of a discussion, a commentary, or a review.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of times, because I will have maybe I do a half an hour review and I show a 30-second clip. They will want to claim the whole video as if it's all 30 minutes is their property to get revenue off of.
That's
And they abuse the system because they know that most people just having it taken down, having to fight it, re-upload it within 20 or 30 days, it kills any growth potential for that particular stream. So they do it just to stop people from growing by showing content. And there's just a hierarchy. I mean, if you're a big streamer with 1 million+ followers, you're just not going to get pushed around as much.
All right.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
But you know what? Let me roll it back. This is the preview.
So cute. All right.
I gotta say, that is a very handsome client.
Why didn't you set me up with him?
You deserve someone nice.
Oh, this is
Sheree.
this is the same character from Barbarian. Same actor, I think.
Is it? I thought she looked similar to her, but I don't think it's the same actress.
Jeez, okay, maybe. Yeah, you're right. Maybe different.
But they do look alike.
Yeah.
This is a horror movie?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
The only thing that matters now is our game. I'm gonna hunt you. And if you make it through the night, I'm gonna let you live.
You are a marked woman now. He can smell you. If you want to survive this game, the only person who can help you is a survivor. I just need to lay low tonight.
How are you surviving now, huh?
Yeah, it's my shadow. No one beats him.
He's like a monster.
What are you doing in his game? I'm always living like a shadow.
The cameraman there.
I'm not gonna go anywhere, sweetheart.
What are you?
It looks fun.
It reminds me of Army Hammer.
You know what that girl's from Resident Evil, the new Resident Evil series. That's why. It was not great. The new.
It's already got cancelled as well.
Yeah. Yep. That's where I recognize her from. Yeah.
That trailer looked a little freaky.
I like the music too. This pretty good.
And it's like a nice throwback to like those revenge movies of the late 70s, early 80s.
Kind of outlandish. I like the lighting is pretty wild too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
but
that
actually,
was on Amazon Prime.
Yeah. They actually made the lighting make sense because when she's lit certain ways, it's because she's in different parts of the city. I hate when that was the one thing that was bugging me about Terrifier, is that there'd be this red light and there's like no source for it. Like, you need to make it make sense. Yeah.
I'll forgive her. I think Terrifier works as a fantasy. See, that's why I know people are complaining that there's people throwing up in the cinema and all this is really
I think that's BS. Unless they've just never seen a horror movie before and they pick Terrifier to be the first one to see.
I've heard so much
about the Terrifier.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really as scary as people are making it seem?
It doesn't scare me at all. It's just gory. It depends on how you respond to gore. Some people have a visceral reaction to gore and other people don't.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about the people throwing up.
Yeah, me too.
I haven't seen it yet.
They can't sleep.
It's just the hype train.
Yeah. I don't think I could watch that.
I think it's fun because it's not mean-spirited. There's not a real air of cruelty to the Terrifier films. They're just sort of, let's enjoy some splatter.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of makes it's a wee bit more in the vein of Peter Jackson or Sam
Yes.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah, it's definitely tongue in cheek and a little bit comical.
Yeah. Right.
It's not meant to be taken. Although he was really his creepiest in the first time you see him is in a horror short that's part of All Hallows Eve. Yeah. And he was really actually scary then. But then when they made the first movie, they gave him kind of a comical side.
Yeah.
I would compare it to how Freddy Krueger sometimes says things that are kind of funny, but he can also be very scary.
Yeah, okay.
Except Art never says anything. He's more like he mimes things.
Yeah. Okay. I could see that.
But it has that kind of in common with Freddy Krueger in the sense that you're laughing along with him at his sort of mugging at the camera and all that sort of stuff. You're kind of along for the ride with the killer, even though he's not the protagonist. You do feel kind of. It does make me think of the later Freddy Krueger films, like 3 and 4, the Terrifier series. I like that, and I think it's fun and healthy. I don't see why people are getting upset about it.
I will say I did not like the first Terrifier movie, but I like the second one a lot better.
Weird. So I've spoken to some people that are the opposite. I think they're both equally fine and good fun. I don't see
the one thing I would change is make it a little shorter because it was over 2 hours. And I was like there was a dream sequence that just kept on going. And I was like, this is too long. This dream sequence does not need to be this long.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the sort of kill scenes were kind of too spaced out with sort of pointless drama scenes, like the whole scene at the party where she finds out her friend has spiked her drink and things like that. I didn't really feel like we needed that.
No, not at all.
Because we know she's just cannon fodder for Art the Clown, right? And she does, and, she serves out that purpose. I don't think knowing that she's actually a bit of a bitch doesn't really make much of a difference, really, to the story.
I think when they keep them shorter, they have more impact. The longer you drag out, I think of the new series, the It series or It 2 versus It 1. And It 1 I thought was terrific. I mean, not the original It, but the newer remakes. It just had so much art design, and the kids were great. And the second one was just more of everything, more special effects, more of the clown, more of people, and it was more, and it wasn't better. Just
I can
when it drags on.
The second one, the only part I remember being memorable was when they went to a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
Other than that, I couldn't actually remember how they defeated Pennywise.
I just remember the spider showing up, and I was like, "Oh, really?" I was so much more scared when I read the book.
I was really, really angry at what they did with Mike Hanlon's character. They mostly gave his attributes to Ben, and they made his parents crackheads that died in an apartment fire when they were agricultural farmers. and
That's a stretch.
Yeah, they were a kind couple. They loved him so much. They gave him this abusive grandfather that didn't exist in the book. He had agricultural farmer parents, and then the other thing was that the bully of the book, I forget his name, his dad was trying to bully Mike's parents too, like trying to kill their animals and stuff. And his father actually pulled a gun. Mike's father pulled a gun on the bully's father and was like, "Stay off of my land or else I'm going to dead you." And he actually stopped. He stopped messing with him. And I'm like, why would you rewrite such a great character, or actually not rewrite him, erase them, turn him into crackheads that burn up in a fire, and then give him a abusive grandfather that is killing pigs? And I'm like, the only thing I can call that is racism, because all the other characters you kept so close to the book. The one black character, you changed everything that was positive about him.
Yeah, it's strange. I just, everything about the second one just, frankly, just didn't add anything. And if you can't add something, there isn't a reason to make it. And I think that's what happens with media. Is just,
well, they had to make it to finish the story, because the first half of the book is when they're kids and the second half is when they're adults. But I think the 1990s version had the adults a little bit better than this version. But they did add something that the 1990s version left out of the book. The gay couple, that was always in the book, even in the 80s.
Yeah.
So people might go, "Oh, it's social justice, they're putting gay people." No, they were in the book. They were taken out of the 1990s movie. And in the remake, they were put back into the story.
I didn't know that. I've never read the book. I only seen the original miniseries and the remake. Wow.
The old series was good. Yeah.
Oh, you might enjoy the book. Like, a lot of the chapters are from the perspective of Mike. And he's the glue that kind of holds the group together. And he's the town librarian and historian. Yeah. He's college educated. He's kind of like a professor type character. And they changed him into like an addict who just works at the library, but he's not the person that runs the library. I just hated that. Because you still could have had him have inner turmoil and conflict, because all of these people would have PTSD from what they went through with the clown when they were kids. So you didn't need to add his parents being crackheads.
Just piling on at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
I did like some of the scare sequences in part 2. It kind of reminded me of Nightmare on Elm Street, like the sequence in the school with the Ben in the locker. Yeah. The timing of it kind of reminded me of a Nightmare on Elm Street sequence.
I remember watching Nightmare on Elm Street. I think you, Sasha, actually introduced me to scary movies. We used to watch like Freddy together. Nightmare on Elm Street.
I remember you were never scared. Like, she was like 5 years old, and she's telling me, "Did you see Species? The creature was like this, and it did like this." And I'm like, "That doesn't scare you?" And she looked at me and she said, "It's not real." It took me longer to figure out it wasn't real when it's been 5 years old.
Now I watch scary movies and I get so scared. I'm like, I can't.
I think it's like a muscle.
100.
It's like a muscle, because if I stop watching horror movies for a long time, then they'll become super scary to me.
Right.
But when I watch them, like for my channel, I watch them almost daily. So now it's like I've built up a tolerance.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's weird. That no, I get your. I went off them for a while as well, and I just got so knee jerk reaction to things. Like that's just downright offensive. Honestly, I was like an old wife. and and now I'm starting to get my tolerance up. Now I'm sitting there going, yeah, Terrifier 2. Brilliant fun for all the family. Right? But about a year ago, you talked to me. Well, maybe not a year, maybe about a year and a half ago. I was like, you're all sick. You're all crazy.
That's where I'm at right now.
What's the scariest movie each of you have ever seen?
That's a tough
That's
question.
like a good question.
I don't know.
While you think, I'm going to read the comments.
Okay.
Welcome to the dark side. It says, OMG, I didn't like Run, Sweetheart, Run. Jervis says, Shasha, I just finished Terrifier 2. Never saw part 1, but was cringing. Did you review it yet? I wrote my notes for my review, but I've not recorded my Terrifier review yet. But it'll be out later this week. Trash Picture Show says, Toho are a nightmare for copyright claims. I don't know what company is Toho.
They make anime. So
oh.
Probably because people cut up a lot of anime for music videos and promotional stuff, and so they're wary. Yeah, they are kind of aggressive. But yeah, with YouTube. Yeah, I've run into a couple issues.
Tony T says, have a happy Halloween. I'm about to go watch Dawn of the Dead in 3D in the theaters. Oh, lucky! I forgot that came back out in theaters.
Oh, that's cool.
The Clapper Loader says, is that Pacey from Dawson's Creek? I thought it was, but it's a different actor. Because I looked at the name and it's not the actor that plays Pacey, but he looks just like him, doesn't he? Tony Man says, that's Ella Balinska. She was in Resident Evil and Charlie's Angels remake. Oh, I didn't see the Charlie's Angels remake, but I did see the first episode of the Resident Evil.
That was the best part. It's all downhill from there.
And Marty says, no, Clapper, it's Euron Greyjoy from Game of Thrones. I knew he looked familiar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Clapper says, thank you. Tony Man says, if you puke from gore, you're probably a wussy. Well, we shouldn't judge people. Don't judge people. I think my tooth almost popped out. No, it's still there.
Do you have the tolerance that you can eat while watching a gory scene, Shasha?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I can eat.
Oh, you can eat with those on.
Some people are just scared of clowns, especially French ones. I remember there was a few years ago when people were just showing up dressed as clowns and freaking people out.
Oh, yeah.
Clowns.
Yeah.
Marty says the second one, try topping the midsection kill with Serena. Friend being scalped and having assault and bleach. It was almost like Tex Avery cartoon. I expected Art to kill her with an anvil. I was thinking that too, the anvil thing, because it's very Looney Tunes in the way he kills people. It is cartoonish. Eric Schuster said horror movies should be around 90 minutes. I concur, unless you're telling something with a deeper storyline, like something like The Exorcist or Damien. Like these are more drama driven. I feel like those. Definitely more time to develop, but a slasher movie, I can't think of one that needed more than 90 minutes.
No.
Curly Girl, the movies is here.
I watched Barbarian last night, and that was great. And
I love how it switches up. Yeah.
The first shock is everything. I mean, it's just, oh wow, okay, this is a different movie, and
yes,
they just changed the tropes of that movie just enough. A lot of things are really kind of the way, don't go down there, don't do that. What are you doing that? Don't go back. So a lot of
she kept on doing all the horror movie, stuff you're not supposed to do.
They change it a little bit here, a little bit there, and I think the one scene, the flashback scene, I thought was amazing. I thought it was really well done. In one scene, they explained why this world is, and that there's a certain level of intelligence with movies that says, as soon as you've seen the evil monster in Barbarian, you're wondering about the power level. You're wondering about the skill. What's going on with it, and does it fit into the world? Does it make sense for it to exist in this world? And you're always looking to see if it lines up, if it makes sense.
Are you talking about Barbarian? Yeah. Oh, I haven't seen it.
Oh, I'm not gonna tell you anything. I'm not gonna tell you anything about it. Then nothing about it. We're gonna put it behind the lock and key. It's terrific. It's a lot of fun. It's exciting. It's and it bends the tropes around. So I won't say more than that, but you'll thoroughly enjoy it. I won't say anything.
I may watch it after this stream, actually.
I think it's on HBO Max for so you can check it out there. I tried to get Smile last night, but it's, you can only pre-order it. It's still in theaters, I think, because I heard that was very good.
Right. I've not heard.
Okay, my internet went down for a second. I don't know what that is.
I've not heard one unfavorable review for Barbarian yet.
Yeah,
so.
I think it's short and it's to the point. It keeps the cast really small. Justin Long, I believe, is in it. He's the guy from like Dodgeball, and he's not normally my favorite actor. I think he's great. I think he's great in this one.
I love Justin Long. I think he's great.
Oh,
he's
a Scream King now, Mark. He was in Tusk and he's Jeepers Creeper.
Oh, yeah. Did Kevin Smith do Tusk?
Yeah.
Is that the one where he turns him into a thing?
Yeah.
That was a hard movie to watch. Jeepers Creepers was fun.
Yeah, I remember that. That was another one that had me watching when I was like 15 or 12.
It reminds me of like the Mothman Chronicles or something. There was an older version of that moth guy walking around. I'm trying to think what it was from. I think it was an old. I'll have to get back to you on that one. But yeah, Jeepers was good. I think there was a second one too.
Yeah. There's a fourth one.
Oh, they kept going.
The new Jeepers Creepers Reborn just came out maybe a week or two ago. Yeah,
is it as good as
bad.
The older ones?
No,
I was gonna say,
and it's a shame because we lobbied so hard to get the essay offender, who is the director, away from the property, and so we got it to a different group of people. So he won't make money off of that anymore because he still hasn't stopped offending apparently, and they just turned him into any other type of slasher, and he was more interesting as this mythological creature that did kill people, but there was more creature-ness about him. And it had his wings were bad CGI in the newest one. Like how Jeepers Creeper came out in like I think 2001. Yeah. Why do the CGI wings in 2022 look worse than his original wings in 2001?
Well, there's that transition between physical. I think there's like a sweet spot in there between like the late 90s and early 2000s where they couldn't do everything with CGI, and when they had CGI, it was like a big deal. It's like, oh, let's really get this right, and they had that window where only maybe the best directors were working with it, and then you get to the point now where it's like, yeah, I got Photoshop effects, we can make it work,
Yeah.
So there's this.
I got After Effects on my computer.
Yeah.
And 3 hours practice.
Yeah. The movies where they have like all digital blood, like guys are shooting guns, and even the guns, they're digitally like made to fire. And it's like, man, they couldn't just do that, in the 70s and the 80s. They had to make some stuff actually work. And you have a feeling of weight there. That's like, okay, this is, I feel like this is happening. I can buy into this world more. But now they can just CGI that stuff in on the real low budget movies, and it doesn't work. It doesn't feel good, So no. I think we're in the full CGI world now, and it's kind of a crapshoot.
I don't know the full ins and outs of it, but I remember back when Life of Pi came out, and the Oscars that year, there was a massive protest at the Academy Awards because a lot of the effects jobs were going to Eastern Europe, right? Because it's cheaper to get people in Eastern Europe to do CGI effects and things like that. And I think that maybe because of this, that it's taken away from the artists in America that really designed this technology and built this industry, and given it to people that will work for less money, that you're getting shoddy product at the end of the day. I think that might be something to do with it as well. Because I've noticed even the Marvel output. I mean, that She-Hulk show.
The Disney shows are at a completely lower level than the movies. Dramatically so.
even the feature films.
Well, the word,
even some of the feature films.
the word on the street is that they're. Oh, sorry about that. The word on the street is that their designers are feeling overworked and pressure to get things done faster and faster and faster because they have the Disney shows, they have the movies, and I feel like they kind of need this. On the one hand, it seems like they're trying to keep up the momentum, but on the other hand, they should space things out so that we don't get Marvel overload or fatigue. Like you want to.
I'm well past that. I mean, I know I'm in the minority here, but I'm being very cautious about being excited about Black Panther 2 as well. I'm one of the few people that's kind of like, because I love
biting your
Black
nails.
Panther.
Yeah,
I really love Black Panther, and I'm just worried they're going to drop the ball with it, just because it'll be more. Because it was all this sort of I'm of an age, right? The whole whiz bang, people flying around punching each other, bores me to tears. But see what I loved about Black Panther, it had something more to say than just flying about punching each other. And I think this one's just going to be flying about punching each other, and I'm going to be bored. That's just from my personal point of view, but I'm hopeful it's great.
I think this one is going to have something to say, but not in the same direction. I think as much as the first Black Panther had to say about what would a country in Africa be like that had never been colonized and that was able to, grow and surpass everyone technologically. This one, I think what they're going to do is kind of, I hate to say Trojan horse it because that sounds negative because I don't see it as a negative. I just see it as something that's in addition to that. I think they're going to get more into they're going to use some of the actual history of Mayan culture to flesh out Namor's character and civilization. And I think that's pretty cool because a lot of that culture has been missing. Like there's people who now, like I was in school when a teacher told us that Mayans didn't exist.
What school was this?
Yeah, this is saying that they were extinct. They say something about Native Americans. Back in the 80s, they used to tell us that there's no Native Americans left. They're almost distinct and crazy stuff like that. A couple of years ago, like my maternal grandmother has always said her people come from the other side of the pyramids in Mexico. Those people mostly refer to themselves as Mexican people. My grandmother did DNA tests maybe 4 years ago. Mayan is on that. So we're still here. I thought that was hilarious, and also the connection that Mesoamerica has with Africa. They have found marijuana that, like certain strains of marijuana that only grows in the Americas in tombs in Egypt. So clearly they were going back and forth, and a lot of the jewelry that they found in Mesoamerica almost looks identical to the jewelry that was made in Egypt. So the connection between Mesoamerica and Africa is real, historically. So I feel like they might play with that in this movie.
Good. Well, hope they get something more than just flying about punching. That's
yeah.
And I mean, in all honesty, when I read Marvel comics as a child, Submariner Namor was always my favorite, right? And I think, because Aquaman came out ahead of the pack and they've got to obviously change him up so that they don't get mistaken for Aquaman because they're so similar, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just not allowing myself to get excited because Halloween.
You don't want to be let down.
Halloween ends, right? You get excited about something.
I liked Halloween Ends, but I also like Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. So I know I'm different.
Halloween Ends.
The last
Halloween
movie
ends.
of Halloween series? Is that
for now?
For now.
Because we've had Jason Goes to Hell, Freddy's Dead. So when something ends,
I gotta say,
does it really ever end?
Halloween Ends was a trash fire that caught fire very early. It
Those
burned
other two
very
songs
long.
were way better. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion, right?
It hurt me. I was actually looking at my watch. I don't look at my watch in horror movies. I look at the screen and I was like, are you kidding me? Is this still going on? And just the transition, maybe they just needed a better actor, but the transition of the faux bad guy who comes in and slowly descends into evil. it's just the scenes they picked that were so jarring. It was like, I'm a nerd, but I've got a motorcycle. I drive my motorcycle cool. Now I'm evil. Now I'm just doing murder after murder. And it's like, I don't buy any of this.
Spoiler alert.
Any sense. I'm sorry, man. We might have to spoil a couple on here. Halloween Ends, spoiler alert, don't ever watch it. I mean,
I disagree. I like it. And
Halloween ended before the movie started.
I put it in the same every series gets one of these.
Oh,
I
God.
put it in the same category as Nightmare on Elm Street 2 when Freddy Krueger was trying to use Jesse's body as let me think. Is it Friday the 13th Part 6 where it wasn't really Jason, it was this other dude? And there's also another Friday the 13th where there was a worm creature that was going from person to person, turning them into Jason Voorhees. Like every I feel like every slasher genre gets to the point where they have that one movie where it's not even the slasher.
Copycat. But here's somebody pointed out the fact that the character's name was Corey Cunningham, and one of the most famous imitations of Halloween was directed by Sean S. Cunningham.
Oh yeah,
always like a kind of play on that. Like you're the imitation of Halloween. I don't know. See if I could have wrote the screenplay for Halloween Ends and you want to go down the copycat route, I would have made it an epidemic of violence.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you've beaten Michael Myers to a bloody pulp, then you've released some sort of evil entity that is just going to turn everybody into a mindless slasher.
That would have been great.
Right
there was a really easy rewrite that they could have done. So easy, especially when Corey put on the Scarecrow mask. If you really want to homage Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, make the masks the thing that makes the people evil. You could have tied that to Michael's mask. He was a child when he first started killing. And the first thing you see him do is put on the little clown mask before he gets the knife. So why not write that into the story that Silver Shamrock company popped back up and was able to produce masks in 2019. The movie takes place in 2019. And when he puts on that Scarecrow mask, that's what transfers whatever the Stonehenge stuff that they had going on in Part 3.
That's
do that.
World building.
Yeah.
That's how you
just
build
something off the rails.
These are some good ideas. You guys gotta get. I don't know. You guys might need to be the directors. I like those ideas.
Or writers. I want a story by credit.
Yeah.
We do have a question here. Welcome to the Dark Side. Said, has anyone checked out the movie Smile? Is it really good?
I've heard good things. I haven't seen it.
Anybody else?
No, I haven't seen it. Sorry.
I thought you were gonna check it in theaters or something.
I did see Smile. It was better than I thought, because I thought it was gonna be trash garbage like a movie like The Bye-Bye Man or. It actually wasn't. It was really decent. The way the trailer would make it look, it seems like it's that type of movie, but it's not. It's actually a lot more psychological horror.
That's good. Yeah. Just jumping back to Halloween Ends for 1 second. It's just another movie with totally undefined skills and abilities for the bad guys. I mean, especially when you have a series with a lot of things that did dip into the mystical, then came back. What is the nature of evil here? And it's not an unknowing, like the dark unknown where you don't know what's behind something, it's an unknowing in that you don't understand what the writers are doing. From scene to scene, you're like, well, what's going on here? What's controlling this? And like you said, you suggested a means by which the evil would be presented and controlled and passed on. They didn't see a need to do that for any reason with anything after having a long-running series. The last couple scenes in the movie I loved. I think they were lovable. They seemed like a nice, lovable goodbye. But the rest of it was interminable. It was bad. And it made the last movie, was it Halloween Kills? The last movie, which I thought was terrible. I like it now because this one was so bad. I was like, man, Halloween Kills was fun. Everybody was whacked out. That should have been Halloween Ends right there.
No.
I mean, it was not good either, but it was good by comparison.
The more I interact with people about it, the more I find new problems with it. Very rare. I've not yet not met anyone that said, but if you look at it this way, and this, no one's been able to persuade me to see the value in this film. I'm sorry, it's just a snooze fest to me.
Sasha, we're getting on you.
Sorry.
It's okay. Remember, I never get offended by this. That's why I always say at the end of my videos, just because I love something doesn't mean you won't hate it, and just because I hate something doesn't mean you won't love it. I look at it this way. It's like when we're in kindergarten, somebody says my favorite color is blue, and somebody else says my favorite color is red. We don't flip tables and freak out because people don't like what we like. But for some reason, certain people in society have become that way. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Somebody else not liking something doesn't destroy your like of it.
Yeah, that's true.
And it doesn't mean that their points aren't valid. It's how they see a thing.
Yeah.
Very true.
Even though it feels like the reboots, they start with such excitement. Mm-hmm. Everybody's excited. Oh, it's starting up again. And you can feel it in the shots, in the movies, in the way they designed even this arc here. And then it's like by the second movie, they're losing interest. And by the third, it's like they're tired. It seems to happen. One example, it's not a horror movie, but the new Jurassic Park series. And I hate to bring that up. It's kind of out of nowhere. But I actually liked Jurassic World. I thought it was fun, even though it ripped everything off. It was enjoyable. And then they just descended into just mishmash. And I was like, it's like nobody wants to be here. It seems like they're tired. It's like they start a trilogy and then they realize, oh, this has got to go on for this long. And then they kind of lose energy,
And to think how hard people were on the Twilight franchise, right? Those guys knew how to tell a story from beginning to end, right? I mean, CGI baby, so what, right? I'll take a dozen CGI babies instead of Michael Myers being all sad-faced in a toilet or wherever he was hiding. Right?
Geriatric Myers?
Yeah.
I feel the most bad about the fact that I always called the Rob Zombie Halloweens Hobo Myers. And then when this guy actually has to go and make him an actual hobo.
Yeah, he was full on.
Brother, can you spare a dime? I've never felt... I mean, Halloween Kills really walked my mind because I had me cheering them on at one point. You know, when they were all ganging up on him?
Yeah.
I kind of expected Mickey from Rocky going, get up, you big son of a bitch. Right? I was, and I was like, come on, Michael, get them, right? And he did. He jumped up and started beating the shit out of everybody. And in this one, I was actually feeling sorry for him. I was like, come on. Right?
I recorded my review, but I haven't finished editing it. And I remember saying, when did the band kids become the bullies? I could swear they were not the bullying type. And also, when do adults get bullied by teenagers?
I know that
wish a little kid. I wish a little 15-year-old would. No.
It's not right. It's not right.
No.
If you look at the first of the new trilogy, it could have ended with him in the fire. You just see a hand come up and it just ended there. This didn't need to be a trilogy.
No.
And that's sometimes where they push and they stretch stuff. They don't have the ideas. They don't have the creativity. They got greenlit with all this stuff. And then it's like, well, what are we going to do next?
It's a cash grab.
In the second movie, Jamie doesn't even do anything. She's like in like a hospital bed, like, hey, you guys shouldn't do that. And that's like her whole thing.
Yeah, I was perfectly satisfied at the end of Halloween 2018. I thought that was it. It wasn't until like a few months later, saying, "Oh, by the way, there's going to be a sequel, right there." Right, but I was perfectly satisfied, and they could have just left it that way, just like we beat them, or did we? Will they be back? Who knows? Leave it. No.
I'm holding my breath and hoping they don't do the same thing to the new Hellraiser series. I like it. I know it's not in line with the original because I watched the old ones too. Because after watching the new one, I fell so much back in love with those characters while drawing them up and everything. And I went back, I watched all the old ones, including the ones that just descend into just terribleness. And there's like 12 of them or something. I just lost track. But I hope they don't stretch it. I think they should leave it alone because even though it doesn't have the sex masochistic elements of the originals, it's a nice piece of work. I mean, just art, design, sounds.
It was a great looking movie.
The part where
but they do need to bring back Bring back the sexual masochism.
Well, hopefully, I mean, they could bring back the original Pinhead, and they could do something there. But I'm hoping they just don't stretch it out into oblivion.
Well, Mark, the funny part is the new Pinhead is more book accurate.
Okay, yeah, you mentioned, yeah, it's kind of a androgynous.
The producers on the original pressured Clive Barker to make them identifiably male because it was the 80s. So he did, but that's not how he wrote the character.
I think the actor did a great job with the voice.
Yes.
The voice is always iconic, you know. But I like the new one a lot, and I was more than I thought I was gonna like it. I kind of went in thinking it was, and it did seem a little tame, a little bloodless, a little bit. But I think it kind of grew on me. It was long. It was a little longer than it needed to be. That could have lost 15, 20 minutes for sure. But the design, I like the design. Design's good.
I also think the weakness was the main character. I didn't like her. I was not rooting for her. I was like, I don't care about you at all.
I was not rooting for her at all. But I guess I didn't not like her, but I guess I just love the villains. I'm just such a villain guy.
Oh, the Cenobites were great.
They're there to die, you know, everybody else. So I was like, you know. So I like, and again, I love the rules. I love the structure, the format, the way they have certain things. I loved, you know, the end scenes, which we won't spoil, but some of the end scenes showing more about the lore, growing that, you know. If they don't develop more, it's okay. If they do, I hope they maintain that bar. Don't get tired, you know. So, but it was a good flick.
It does. I watched your review of it, Shasha, and it did come across as quite interesting. But I've heard mixed things about it. Not that I'm led by that, you know. I'm intrigued to try it out. Funnily enough, I've still never seen Hellbound. I've only ever seen the first one and Hellraiser 3. That's all I've ever seen of Hellraiser. And I wasn't too. In Hellraiser 3, we're talking, what's that, 30 years ago? No.
Yeah.
Right? And I wasn't too impressed with that. And it seems kind of jokey.
Yeah, 2, I would say 2 is the best sequel that it's had. 1 and 2, if you watch them back to back, same feel, really, really good. 3, I think that's the one the director, is there 3 or 4? The director took the name off of it and just put Alan Smithy, which is the pseudonym that directors use when they're ashamed of something they worked on.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think people even use that anymore. I don't think I've seen that in a long, long time. But wasn't there a bit in Hellraiser 3 where someone fired a gun at Pinhead and he spat out the bullets?
Yes, there was some jokes in there that were a little silly.
That just rubbed me up the wrong way.
Yeah,
but the original Hellraiser, when that first landed, you know,
and 2 is a great expansion. 2 is a great expansion again of the world of. I think it had the Doctor. Is the Doctor in 2?
Yeah, the Doctor's in 2.
Yeah, so there's just
you learn more about Leviathan.
Yeah. So it's, you know, sequels can expand and they can be positive things. And a lot of times I feel like sometimes the characters just kind of take on a life of their own, and then they say, "Well, let's just run this to death," and they just do too much. You know, I'm a big fan of walking away when you feel you've told a story and leaving it. And a lot of times in the horror genre, especially, they kind of transfer to that straight to video level, and then they just start cranking. And you saw it in Hellraiser. I mean, they could not stop with Hellraiser.
Well, the problem with their sequels is they never used a Hellraiser script. They would just take random horror scripts and then write Pinhead into them and call it a Hellraiser movie. And I'm like, that's not how any of this works. Y'all are just being lazy. I do want to take advantage of having a younger person with us today. Because there's a couple movies that have been out that I can watch them from one perspective, but being that I am, you know, Gen X, sometimes it's hard for me to determine whether this is really hitting where it should hit or it misses. And the 3 movies were They / Them, Sissy, and Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Khadijah, have you seen any of those 3 movies, or at least seen the trailers?
No, I have not.
You haven't seen the trailers either?
No.
Okay, because I wanted to know whether they were capturing Gen Z, like how you speak and your culture and everything.
You think we can watch one of the trailers for one of them? That'll be fun.
Yeah, let me pull up Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. That'll be the easiest one.
Okay, cool.
I watched They/Them.
I feel like I heard that one.
It had Kevin Bacon, was terrific. I think the first 2/3 of the movie were excellent.
Yeah,
and I think the last third, I typically go to the wife and say, this was a B plus movie, and she goes, well, how was the ending? Because you're going to grade it by the ending, and she's right, because the third act was terrible. It was probably a 0, and I was in a B plus range, and then after I got to the end of that movie, I said, I literally just wasted my time. They wasted all the characters. But,
yeah, I thought the characters were really great. Like, they did some excellent character building, and the movie couldn't make up its mind of what it wanted to be. I think it was doing psychological horror, but also slasher. It was nailing the psychological horror, but it was failing at the slasher elements.
Yes.
So I think they should have just kept it psychological horror.
The slasher elements at the end were some of the most not juvenile. They were some of the most just inexperienced in terms of a director, in terms of shock, in terms of it was building and building to something that I thought was going to be great, except for it just never came.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have actors like Kevin Bacon and also breakout stars like the kid actors, you've got to use them for what they can do. And I thought it was such a missed opportunity. It was crazy.
That is true, Clapper Loader. Paula Marshall, if I'm thinking of the right actress, is the person that played Julia. And I believe she was in Malignant.
Oh, Malignant was fun.
Revan says, Khadijah, join in the convo, young whippersnapper. And Tony says, show Kiki the trailer for Margot as well. Okay, we'll do that. All right, this is the one for Bodies.
You don't have to be nervous. I'm not nervous. Wow, how so impressive.
You're impressive. They're going to be obsessed with you. They're not as nihilistic as they look on the internet. You guys, this is me.
Oh, whoa.
Is this your first relationship? Oh, no. You just kind of give that vibe. Oh, you know that has weed in there, right? Who wants to play Bodies?
So how do you play?
If you draw the piece of paper that has the X on it, you are the murderer. Let's go.
Cool.
And if you're the murderer, you have to kill someone by touching them on the back. The most important part, if you come across a body, you have to yell, "Body, body, body!" Wow. Set the lights. David! Our friend is dead.
Someone's doing this. They're trying to kill us off one by one.
That'd be so obvious if I were the killer.
Taking off my clothes in the window for the neighbor.
Go. How long have you known her?
What are you talking about?
Jordan, what are you doing? I'm staying safe. Really? Because it looks like you're grabbing a meat cleaver to go look for my boyfriend.
You should watch your girl.
You pushed her. Liar. What is happening?
Is that all you got, mother?
I brought something.
What is it?
It's zucchini bread.
Yum.
Hot girl, pop girl, rich girl, I'm a girl, boss girl, catch me.
Is that Pete Davidson?
Yeah. There was another trailer where they were yelling at each other, and one was saying, You're silencing me. And I just thought the line was like, okay, like that's more something that people would write than say aloud, but that's just my experience. I don't know.
I don't know. Looks like it might be pretty interesting. I feel like
Looks
that's
like a lot of
something I would
fun.
watch. Yeah,
Mhm.
right? I feel like that's something I would watch.
Here's another one, Margot.
It's the first time I saw the trailer for Bodies. It actually looks all right.
Yeah.
Mhm. Sorry, my internet is a little bit slow today.
I don't think I know about this one.
Yeah, I don't think I heard of this one.
Whoa! Oh, damn it, Drew! Get out of here, man! I'm not looking. Okay, that is new. Glad you guys are still finding ways to spice things up. We're leaving in 5, okay?
These are the amazing people I'm going to be spending the break with. Group shot.
I kind of wanted to save the surprise, but whatever. I'll tell you guys now. It's a smart house, so I'll send you guys away. Okay, let's do this. Now you guys are excited. Told you I'd come through.
Wow. Andrew Collins. You go by Drew, right? Welcome home. I've been designed and programmed to cater to your every need.
So she's like the house, or what?
Most people just call me Margot.
Kidding?
Now go explore.
Come along into my paradise.
I have quite the weekend in store for you. What is this? This entire place is one gigantic 3D printer.
Don't tell me.
Did you hear that? This is something I've been working on for a long time.
Margot!
Get me out of it!
Can't move. I've never seen AI this advanced.
What the hell did you do to them?
And I can't wait to show you what else I have in mind. Get out of this house. Who wants to party?
Margo, stop!
But we haven't reached the climax yet.
That looks fun.
That looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, that does. That's like interesting because that reminds me of one of the Disney movies I used to watch when I was younger. I think it was called Smart Home. And
Oh wow.
it was almost similar to that. Like the house will speak to the family. And what's funny about that too is the actor in that, she was a Disney actor too. She was in I think it was like Corey in the House.
You're talking about the girl with the curly hair?
With the curly hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
read
almost
that.
like one of the Disney smart houses turned into like a horror movie. That's something I would watch too. That's kind of cool too.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one, I got two more. I'm gonna do Sissy, and then also Raven Starborn says show the Megan trailer.
Megan, she was gonna be took it right off tip of my tongue. She's all over TikTok with that dance.
Oh, I'm one of the people that put her on TikTok. I got 14,000 views on that
That's
TikTok.
awesome.
To celebrate Sincerely.
I love that trailer.
200,000.
I'm a little scared because it's coming out in January, right?
Yeah,
So,
they say January is not a good month to come
that
out.
is not a good month.
It's Hollywood's dumping ground. That's what they
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah.
Why? Is it because it's
I
after
mean-
the holidays?
Because it's right after the Academy Awards, so I think or right before, so that they don't even care for consideration. They're like, yeah, put the garbage here. Yeah, but it looks great. It's a great trailer.
To celebrate Sincerely Cecilia reaching 200,000 followers. Wow. I'm giving all of my friends 50% off my new bespoke non-allergenic therapy.
Need an Instagram. The world needs more people like you.
Sissy? Oh my god, it's you. Like 12 years? You remember me, right? Yeah.
I just can't picture myself without her.
I was thinking about you the other day, and now here you are. You should come to my Hens Weekend. Die.
The Hens Weekend is a bachelorette party, what we call it in the US.
Like a model? No, definitely not.
This looks fun.
She's an influencer.
An influencer.
Well, I'm more like a mental health advocate.
I'm sorry, but I can't help but find it all a little bit ironic. Once upon a time, she lost her mind and she tried to murder me. For people, Sissy is preaching mental health.
Cecilia.
What are you, rebranding?
When we form a circle around ourselves, we are reminded that we carry with us an invisible boundary. No one enters but us. It's our very own safe space. And we never, ever have to leave it.
Hey, friends! Cecilia is not as sincere as you think she is.
I am loved. I am special. I am enough.
It's supposed to be me and Emma. That was supposed to be us.
I am doing my best.
Yeah, that one just dropped on Shudder last week.
I might have to get that Shudder, man, because they got some good stuff over there, and it's like another streaming service. Do I need to do it? Oh,
We have a great community with the Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs. When that show comes on Friday nights, like it's like a watch party, but with 20,000 people on Twitter, and it's so much fun.
It's cool.
Yeah, they have some good stuff on Shudder. I quite like it. I mean, I mean, did they not have the exclusive on The Sadness when that came out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was really, really good.
That's
You want to talk
one-
about gore? The Sadness gets. I still think The Sadness might be slightly gorier than Terrifier 2. But there's only one scene in Terrifier 2 that I think could match with The Sadness. But the whole eyeball thing is what takes it.
Oh,
the Sadness eyeball scene is what takes it to the next level. But work for that.
Yeah.
As
Definitely
Tony
one
Man
of the
says,
best.
keep an eye out for that movie.
It's definitely one of the best of the year, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. It's a Taiwanese film, I believe. There's a Hong Kong slasher film that's quite gory. It's called Dream Home. It's really good. Came out maybe around 2008, 2012-ish, sometime during that time period. And it's very, very gory. And it actually is a little bit of a social commentary about inflation and gentrification, but from a Chinese perspective.
That sounds good.
Yeah, right? That sounds pretty interesting.
All right, here's Megan.
Here we go. The party begins.
Hey, you lost your parents. Welcome home. You're my niece. I'm gonna do everything I can to make this place feel like home.
Just wish I could see them again.
I'm not equipped to handle this. I don't even take care of my own plants. I have this project at work. Do you want to see?
Yes.
Ever since I was little, I dreamed of this perfect toy that would protect a kid from ever feeling lonely or sad. This is Megan.
I'm Megan. I'm Katie. It's nice to meet you, Katie. Do you want to hang out? Okay.
Megan, your goal is to protect Katie from harm, both
This
physical
doll
and
said I'm a
emotional.
bad bitch.
Is that a doll?
Right.
Megan, for sure.
I can't believe you made this. I love it.
Wanna hang out? Yeah, sounds like fun.
Great job.
It's nice to have a friend.
It's honestly like she's part of the family now. They could be building emotional connections that are too hard to untangle. She's the happiest she's been since her parents died. Eat the toppings, Katie.
Research shows if you force a child to eat vegetables, they'll be less likely to choose those foods as adults.
Is that so?
Yes. Experts say.
Megan, turn off.
Megan said, bitch, what?
We're having a conversation.
Say what?
Does she talk? Make her say something.
Stop! Don't! Megan! You should probably run. Megan, should push Brandon onto the road. I won't let anything harm you.
Megan, turn off.
Recalibrating response model. Megan! What's wrong with you? Don't worry, Katie. I won't let anything harm you. Ever again.
It's nice to have
It's kind of just child's play, isn't it? Really, with a robot doll was.
Yeah.
There was a whole back and forth on Twitter between Chucky and Megan.
I was just about to say, it's giving Chucky vibe.
We covered it on Hood Podcast. Chucky tweeted, actually, I still have the screenshots. I kept them because I just thought it was hilarious. Let me pull up the screenshots. What y'all talk about what you think about that. There's a show that it reminds me of that Mark and Terry might be old enough to remember. I definitely remember it. Hold on, let me hide the screen.
Oh, I think I know the one you're going to mean. The one you're going to bring up.
I know, yeah, because I know Khadijah probably wouldn't have seen this unless it was on syndication at some point. But it's like a horror version.
What was that called?
I remember the name of it. I'm pulling it up right now.
I'm going to get pure heavy nostalgia flashbacks here.
All right. Khadijah, this is a show that was on television when the three of us were kids. This before you were born. And
She's a small wonder, lovely and bright and soft. She's a small wonder, a child unlike other girls. She's a miracle, and I grant you, she'll enchant you at first sight. She's a small wonder, and she'll make your heart She's fantastic, made of plastic. Microchips here and there. She's a small wonder. Brings love and laughter everywhere.
You should not like have batteries on her back or something. Like
Yeah, the premise to explain the premise of the show is that this family has a robot daughter who is also kind of their maid. why that was a thing that's okay in the 80s.
Oh, it's all good.
Clicked on the wrong thing. Sorry. Why is it doing that? There we go. Yeah. So yeah, she's a robot daughter, and when I saw that trailer, I was like, "What a small wonder!" Was a horror movie.
Yeah.
Not as memorable as Alf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We in the 80s we had the weirdest premises for comedy shows or sitcoms. Robot daughter, family lives with an alien. What else? A girl has several dads, but they never take a DNA test to figure out who her father is. A girl's father is an alien, and she talks to him through a crystal. I don't know if you guys remember that one.
Oh, what's that?
I don't remember that one. No.
It was called Out of This World.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
A lot of things from Out of This World were kind of paid homage to in That's So Raven. Because both in Out of This World, she used to be able to like touch her fingertips together and stop time.
Oh yeah.
Or reverse time and go forward and stuff like that.
Because she was pretty weird as well. You had like Mr. Ed, a
talking horse, or My Mother the Car.
Yeah,
I remember seeing that before. Even the horror shows like the Munsters and the Addams Family.
Yeah, they were great.
Yeah. These premises were really wild and out there.
I like that though.
Bringing Wednesday out? I'm sorry.
Yeah, there is a Wednesday Addams. For some reason, it's not dropping until November, and I'm like, what a missed opportunity! That should have came out in October.
I wasn't too sold by the trailer. I don't know. It looked more like an action show than a comedy horror creepy thing.
It didn't look creepy.
It just seemed to have more kind of action oriented. That's just from the trailer anyway, but
yeah, it's definitely not scary with the voiceover and definitely seemed like more school times and some action. It's definitely not scary.
Because I always thought the Addams Family was about that sort of dark sense of humor, right? Like making fun of sort of creepy things. But I don't know. Well, maybe it's just the trailer. Maybe they've botched the trailer somehow. I don't know.
Well, it's strange because it's just focused on her. So it's a question of how much of the family will be really. It seemed to be the family was always the coolest people in town. And everybody, all the normal people were the odd ones or the ones that were not together. They had it together,
But I much preferred that when we were talking about the movies with Val Julia and Angelica Houston. I much preferred it when it focused a lot more on Wednesday. And the second one in particular, when they went to camp, right, that was just that was great. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for more of that. I know she's older, what have you, but more of that kind of being an outcast, being this weirdo that has to sort of stick up for herself, right? And I don't know, I just wasn't getting that vibe from the trailer, but. I'm just a bit cynic now, and I'm just rain on everybody's parade. Yeah, Black Panther 2, it's gonna stink. Wednesday's gonna stink. No, I don't know. I just kind of finding it hard to get excited about things these days. Apart from Terrifier. Terrifier was like Ron Seal. It did what it said it set out to do. I was so pleased with that.
Have you guys seen The Night House?
I have seen The Night House. Yeah. It started out promising, but then I kind of ended up bored by it.
You didn't like it?
Mm-mm.
Oh wow, we're at opposite ends of the whole spectrum.
You were asking earlier on what was the last scary movie that I saw, the last film that I saw that scared me. It has to be The Serpent and the Rainbow, which I saw for the very first time just at the beginning of the month. I loved it. I'd never seen that film and had been putting it off for 30 years. 30 years. I remember seeing the trailer for it and going, that doesn't look like my cup of tea. And I remember the trailer was from the
Oh, yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street, right? It said that in the trailer, and I was like, that just what's a kind of.
If you have Shudder, there is a documentary about it. It's an episode of, I think it's Cursed Films. It's an episode of Cursed Films about the Serpent and the Rainbow. A lot of negative stuff went down on its set, messing with those spirits.
Yeah, I heard one of the producers got like put in a trance or something like that.
What?
Yeah.
What is this one? So I'm making a list of
Serpent and Rainbow is great.
So I can catch up on this discussion. So I just added that one to my list. What?
Yeah, it's
Serpent and the Rainbow? Is that what it's called? Okay.
The Serpent and the Rainbow, and it's about voodoo. It's pretty close to the real thing, as much as it was based on a factual book, and it's turned into a thriller, a sort of horror thriller. And
that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I would put it in the same category as like The Believers is another similar movie, and not necessarily similar movie, but also about voodoo. I just reviewed it last week. The Skeleton Key. I almost blinked for a second there. Yeah.
Doing that, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Good.
Mr. Dan says Dream Home is great. Revan says it's nice to have a friend, Lady Shasha, curly girl. They're quoting Megan. That's what was happening on Twitter. Chucky said that he was, your friend to the end. And Megan said it's nice to have a friend. And then Chucky retweeted her trailer and said, everybody want to be like me. And then she retweeted herself dancing and said, but can you do this? And then Chucky retweeted that and said, holla at me when you can do this. And it was the Chucky doll dancing. Just like, this back and forth was hilarious.
Oh, I guess she's not going to swear like a trooper like Chucky does. That's what I always thought that was kind of his signature.
Oh, that was my favorite, like one of my favorite scenes. And this is so counterintuitive when you think of like where we are today as far as we're kind of going in America, we're kind of going backwards with the women's power movement, but where we would like to be in 2022, it's weird that I think the funniest thing that Chucky says is, you stupid, like what's it said? You stupid slut, you fucking whore, I'll teach you to fuck with me. And I don't know why it's so funny to me to see a doll say this to this woman. I should be incensed by this, but I'm not. I think it's hilarious.
It's right at that moment when he comes alive for the first time.
Yeah.
In front of an adult.
And then he tries to bite her.
It actually kind of kills the fear factor of it because he's saying such profane nonsense, right?
Yeah. It's a real black comedy. Like I think they've lost the art of the black comedy in this generation in terms of it being too close to offending somebody, in order to be funny, you have to be on that line.
The guy's a misogynist. He's an asshole, right? Right. So it's fine if you're.
But he is not. But he's not homophobic, as we learned in the new Chucky series. He said, "I have a son that's gender fluid." No, he said, "I have a child that's gender fluid," and the little boy says, "And you're okay with that?" And Chucky says, "I'm not a monster." I love that.
I like that.
Did you like the series? I didn't watch the TV.
Oh, I love the series, but I think what's making it work so well is that the original writer-director, Don Mancini, he's written all the Chucky movies in the series. He's like the only writer-director to have written every movie in his series. And he's also the writer and the director on the TV series too. So there's that congruency with the characters. Also, he made sure to use actual teenagers. So it's not like Riverdale where people look 35. Yeah. So when the kids are in danger, it's even more visual because they look like kids because they are kids. And I also love that there is a queer love story, but it's done in a way that's not exploitive. One of the things that was the talk of a lot of conversation this year is how Euphoria tends to be exploitive towards the teenagers' relationships because people were asking, well, who is this for? You have these, 25 to 30-year-old people playing teenagers and you put them in these sexual situations. And this is rated R, so it's not really for teenagers. But do adults want to watch teenagers? having simulated sex on HBO. It's not making sense.
Yeah.
Whereas on the Chucky series, you have this couple, and they have the way I compared their relationship when I did a live stream about it was. Do you guys remember the Wonder Years?
Yeah.
And you remember Winnie Cooper and what's his name? I keep thinking the actor's name. Fred Savage is the actor, but I don't remember his character's name. But how their relationship was shown and developed, that age appropriate type of thing. That's how these two little boys' relationship is, and it's so sweet. I love that they did that, and they didn't try to make it salacious or anything, because they are actual kids.
I know, it's HBO. HBO is all about sex, isn't it? It's like you can imagine taking a like a pilot idea to HBO and going, I've got this great idea. They go, yeah, but when is there going to be some boobs in it?
Yeah.
That's what they would say to you, wouldn't they? They'd be like, okay, we'll write some boobs into it, even though it's not about that.
The one point I can give HBO is that they're equal opportunity. There's just as many teens to be seen as there are boobs. So I like that there's equal opportunity, but there's no reason Euphoria couldn't be set in college. Literally, all those same issues are still present with college students.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I watched a couple episodes here and there of that show. Would you recommend it?
Euphoria?
Yeah. I watched a little bit here and there. It seemed like it was decent.
If you approach it more like it's a fantasy and not realism, which it does feel that way in the way it's shot. Like a lot of the camera work is very fanciful and trippy, and the lighting. So if you take it that way, as that this is, complete fiction, I think you'll enjoy it better than if you try to justify it. It's like trying to justify Game of Thrones. Like, there's incest and rape on the show. I can't justify it, but the rest of it is entertaining. It's just HBO is like that. It's like they make series that are really engaging and entertaining to watch, but slightly problematic in certain ways.
I like Euphoria, but I agree. But I will say some of their shots in Euphoria are really cool. And the lighting, I remember I haven't watched what they have, like 2 seasons out now, or 2 seasons out of Euphoria now. I think
2 or 3.
I
can't remember. If it's, yeah.
I watched the entire first season, and that was like one of the things I remember, like the shots, the lighting, Zendaya's acting, like she really got into character with that one.
Yeah, she's great.
Let me address Revan Starborn and Mr. Dan. Revan says, let me push this back up. Lady Shasha, small wonder is the she. I'm trying to edit myself because I know what you mean. Remember when that pedo tried to get her, and then Mr. Dan says lots of 80s shows had cringy episodes. The Punky Brewster reacts to the space shuttle explosion episode. That one really hit home because I was one of those elementary school children that the teacher was so excited to show us that Kristen McAuliffe was going to be the first teacher in space, and we're sitting in class watching the shuttle go up, and then it explodes, and like trauma. But it being the 80s, they didn't treat it like it was trauma. But when you think of very special episodes, the one that stands out to me is in Different Strokes. The man with the ice cream. I don't know the name of the episode, but there was a man that kept on trying to give Arnold ice cream, and he was trying to molest him. And I just remember that episode. Like, why do we have to have these? And then there was also one when Nancy Reagan came on and said, "Just say no to drugs."
Right, I know.
The very special episode.
I've never seen the Punky Brewster, but I remember that tragedy, the
Challenger disaster.
Yeah.
Challenger, that's the one. Yeah.
I feel like that's like Gen X's 9/11.
Yes.
Although 9/11 is also our 9/11 because we were still alive for that.
Yep,
So,
that one too.
like, but yeah, I still remember that day too.
Yeah.
Out of This World with Donna Pescow from Saturday Night Fever. Yes, that's the show with the girl who talked to her father through the crystal. It was called Out of This World.
Yeah. I just love to see you dance. That's Donna Pascal. Yeah.
No one ever brings up the family living with a effing Bigfoot. I forgot Harry and the Hendersons did have a TV show.
Yeah.
I remember the movie, but I always forget that they made a TV show too.
There hasn't been a good werewolf show in a long time. I did watch that Werewolf at Night from Marvel.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. It was very short. It was a lot of fun. it was like, here's something that actually fits the budget and the time that we have. And no part of it felt like, okay, we don't have the dollars for this today. It was so short and so fun. I hope they continue to do things like that. It was just kind of had a throwback too in terms of some of the effects and costuming. Just it looked like everybody was having a good time, and I wanted more. I thought it was a lot of fun. But I love werewolves, and I just feel like we don't get enough. The Underworld series took all the werewolves and werewolf like crazy, but I like the werewolf story. It's like the Hulk story, but more dark. And I feel like there's not enough werewolves out there. Too many vampires and not enough werewolves.
I think it's the fact that they don't want to put money into the transformation.
Yeah.
Because werewolf people expect to see a transformation scene. And you either got to put money into it or more time and effort, which I still say practical effects.
Yeah.
Stop trying to do CGI werewolves. Dog soldiers, practical effects. American Werewolf in London, practical effects. The Howling, practical effects.
The Howling was amazing. Yeah.
Yes. Those ones are still so revered. That's the thing. You know,
and they still hold up. You watch it today and it doesn't look like it's bad effects. It's still entertaining.
I think what physical effects, what they do is you see it and you know it doesn't look like your everyday thing. You know it's not right, but you know that it's there. So then your brain fills in the little bits and makes it real. But with CGI, you don't get that feeling of weight no matter what they do.
Yeah.
So your brain doesn't fill it in. Your brain doesn't give you that extra 25%. It goes, this is fake, and it dismisses it. And that's why even worse practical effects sometimes are better than good CGI. Because you see stuff on the screen all the time. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. That's not real. That's amazing. Wow.
And
looks
they
like
also
they
have
lit that
to-
perfectly. That's not real.
They have to remember to treat the background, because one of the things that made because there is a little bit of CGI in Poltergeist. When those light ghosts come down the stairs, that's CGI. But they remembered to do one critical thing. They lit the actors as if the luminescence from the ghosts was bouncing off of them. And then they put the shadow behind it. That's what made it look like it was really there with them when it wasn't. A lot of times they forget to treat the scene that the CGI is going to be in. They just have it there and it has no shadow and it doesn't, nothing's the light that's hitting the other actors and not hitting the CGI. It takes a lot of work and attention to detail to do really good CGI.
The other thing is we're so used to using our eyes to recognize what's real that we know that there's imperfections. Like, for instance, I love the Marvel movies. They're great. They feel like comic books, but comic books are like perfect creations. They're in a box. You make them perfect. When you watch the movies, perfect example is that Black Widow movie. Everybody's perfectly lit 100% of the time, everywhere they go. And that's completely unreal. You know, everything is unreal. The whole thing is CGI because it's just, wow, everybody looks perfect. Scarlett Johansson looks perfect in every shot, at every angle. Her hair is always right. That's not the way the real world is. There's shadows that just kind of fall in different places. And
you know
they
who's
make it
good
perfect.
for making stuff look really, really gritty and real, even though it's an action sequence? I forget the director's name, but the one that does the Mad Max movies. He knows how to film fantastical action that would really kill you in real life, but you believe it because it's just done in such a gritty way.
It's straight up all practical. It took them years to do that last one because they had to keep shooting it at certain times of day, and then they had this race scene. They had actors coming and going. It took a couple of years to put that together. I mean, it was amazing. It's just effort. At the end of the day, when they didn't have the CGI quick fix, they could focus on, okay, we've really got to work to make somebody buy into this monster, buy into this situation. But CGI is such a quick fix now. It's slapdash, and then they throw it on, and they don't put that care and attention like they did earlier on when they had to work harder to achieve the most basic things. And that's why that stuff has a certain feel that you just don't get to these days, at all. So I miss that. I definitely miss that. But there's still some good
Tony
stuff.
Tony says, we already had a Euphoria type theme. It was called Kids.
Oh,
Kids was so disturbing. for me to watch. It
Everybody
was so
was
disturbing.
They were sneaking the VHS around in high school when we were watching it in the library, and like different little times. Did you watch it? Oh my god, I got caught! Like we're not allowed to watch that at our age. And we're like, oh man, this is like the craziest movie.
What would you say is
I worked in a movie theater when it came out, and I think I might have been 19 or 20 years old, and I was still so disturbed by it. Have you ever seen Kids?
No, I was gonna ask. I was gonna say, what would you consider better, Euphoria or Kids?
Well, Kids is a movie versus a series, so it's hard to balance them. But Kids as a one-off, I mean, it was so of that time, but it had characters that were terrible and interesting.
Yeah.
Terrible and terribly interesting. Let's just leave it there.
And it dealt with some of the same subjects. Drug abuse,
underage sex.
Actually, one thing that it deals with that Euphoria doesn't deal with is STDs. Euphoria acts like STDs don't exist, but Kids definitely one of the most horrific things is how they explored watching a person transmit STDs to different people. It was just, I think that was the most disturbing thing. And the fact that the kids in the movie were actual kids. They actually had 13 to 15-year-olds. I think the oldest was maybe Rosario Dawson at 17. But they were like, they look like kids.
They look like kids, yeah.
Yeah. Like, for instance, the little boy on Euphoria, they have him playing a little boy. You know, the one that sells drugs out of the convenience store? He's actually 14 years old. He's 14. They have him playing a 12-year-old. When really he should be playing, when they have the 27-year-old playing 14.
Exactly, right.
Because it would be too jarring to see a child that age actually smoking drugs. But in Kids, there are kids that look like that little boy sitting on a couch smoking.
Wow.
Yeah, I think again, it's as everything becomes more polished that they sand down all the rough edges, which for us we enjoy because it was more reminiscent or closer to real life. And the more they focus test this stuff, the more they say, it just has that feel of there's always these invisible lines where we're going to keep everything right here, everything will be okay. So it's nice when you see things that break out of that. First-time directors, new guys who are just saying, hey, this is going to be what I want to do. This is going to be my vision. And it changes things. And then it's interesting again,
Yeah, I think it's more enjoyable to watch it when you can relate it to like reality, because you can start to paint a picture of, can this actually happen? But I feel like it takes a lot of, like you said, Shasha, a lot of attention to detail and art behind it to create that vision of, this is reality. Yeah.
Khadijah, have you seen It Follows?
No, I haven't.
Oh, that's one I think you would like.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I got the list.
This is real cool. I mean, it's young people. It's good music. It's a weird premise. It's interesting. Everything about it's interesting. I'm not gonna tell you anything. Definitely check it out. Very cool.
Okay.
Have you guys seen The Guest as well?
Oh, yeah. I started watching that.
It's not really a horror movie, but it kind of is. I love the synthwave on that, the music, the lights.
I like that.
I really liked it.
I just recently started watching that one.
It's fun. I like the dance at the end, all the action. Just the way they don't explain what he's about in a creative way, and just the colors. The colors are.
I've not seen it in a good while.
It's a good actor there too. He was in that long running Homeland or something. He was a bad guy in a long running show.
All right,
and he's a terrific actor. He's been in several things. I can't remember put my name on.
Was he not from Downton Abbey?
I haven't seen that show, so I don't know. But I think he was a terrorist on Homeland for like 10 seasons or something. But yeah, that was a great one. I just love when they do the synthwave crossovers. In fact, I didn't watch your review, Shasha, but I know you did review some of those Netflix synthwave 80s versus 90s. Didn't they have a couple crossover shows? Were those any good?
I think you're thinking of the Fear Street series. It was
Yes.
Trilogy movies where one took place in the 90s, one took place in the 70s, and one took place in like the 1600s. But they were all part of the same story. I thought they were pretty good. They weren't awesome, but they weren't bad either. They were just all right to me.
Okay.
They were just all right. You have a question here. Tony Man wants to know if Chainsaw Man has an animated series or just a manga.
Ooh, I don't know. I've seen the manga. I don't own it. In terms of an animated series, again, without Crunchyroll and Shudder, I am crippled over here. I only have what I've collected.
Right back.
Oh, okay. He said he'll be right back. Somebody says everyone brings up American Werewolf or The Howling, but forget Thriller. I'm upset. Well, that was the same creator. Rick Baker did the makeup for Thriller. He also did the makeup for American Werewolf in London. He started doing the makeup for The Howling, but he left The Howling to do American Werewolf in London, and his assistant was Rob Bottin that finished the work on American Werewolf in London. I'm sorry, The Howling, and then Rob Bottin went on to do the amazing effects for The Thing.
The Thing was amazing. Have you seen that one, Kadisha?
Well,
gotta put that one on the list.
I feel
because they did do a remake.
The Thing.
I don't know, maybe about 8 years ago or something. They did a remake that was tame.
I don't think it was a remake. It was a prequel. Because at the very end, when that husky dog runs away, that's how the thing starts, with the husky dog running into the other settlement.
Still, it was a far cry from the original. John Carpenter's was.
Oh, do you know what they did? The company did all the practical effects, and then the producers said they didn't like it and made them cover the practical effects with CGI. And I feel like the worst decision ever.
Oh, come on. The Thing is definitely should be on your list, though.
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, The Thing is.
Sasha, you think that's
really
something
good.
to watch when I was younger, or what?
We probably watched The Thing.
I think so, because that name rings a bell.
Well, kind of the Lovecraftian existential horror. I'm trying to build that into my comic series now, and the unknowable beyond, like Color Out of Space, The Void. I actually just watched The Void the other day. The Void is not a good movie. But from the trailer, I thought it was going to be good.
It had some great effects, but
effects are awesome, and the cut scenes with like the people standing outside, very cool. The Void, I wish was a better movie because it has a vibe that I love. It's got a synthwave, scary, 80s gore festival with bright pinks and stuff like that. But they just didn't spend any time with any good characters, and they didn't do much. And the monsters were awesome, but they were just random, So yeah, I was hoping for more with that one too. Have you guys seen Color Out of Space?
I have seen Color Out of Space. Yeah. The thing that I think fell short was that you didn't get a good gauge of the landscape of the farm. I think they should have done. Maybe they used sets, and that's why I didn't feel grounded.
Yeah,
I really wish they would have spent more time on the farm, like maybe the first 15-20 minutes on seeing the landscape of the farm. So when this girl is running around, you know where she's running to, because it just seemed a little bit disjointed.
It felt like a little Mandy light to me.
Yeah.
Mandy was super cool too. I would throw that. I'm putting too many on your list. Mandy was extra cool. So it's Nick Cage, and he's unhinged, and the movie just is absolutely crazy. It's very trippy, psychedelic. There's a lot of wackiness going on. There's some gore, a lot of just cool music. There's very few words. I'd say it's very straightforward. Great payoff, great characters. I've sampled a lot of that for other songs that I've been making, in terms of like some of the speeches that the characters have. But yeah, I can't recommend Mandy enough. Mandy's in the top for me of modern movies all around. It has all the vibes that I like. It's like, ooh, I like that too. They put that in there. So yeah, I would say it's probably top 20 for me.
And it's got Nick Cage freaking out. So
yeah, gotta love Nick freaking out. Yeah, it's such a kooky one.
Oh, did you see it? Oh, let me put it back up.
I've not seen Spiral. Yeah, man, my list is getting long. I think I'm at 13.
You know what? You don't have to. You can keep that one off your list.
Okay.
Well, it depends on which Spiral. There's 2 movies. No, there's 3 movies called Spiral.
I'm talking about the Chris Rock
Saw series.
Saw spinoff where, frankly, Chris Rock did a terrible job. I couldn't stop trying to laugh at what he was
Chris
trying to
Rock's
act.
in it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
his worst
the new
role ever.
one. It's called Spiral from the Book of Saw, but there's also another movie on Shudder called Spiral that is more of like is there a cult in my neighborhood type movie. And then there's also a Japanese movie called Spiral that is about this town of people that kind of go crazy seeing these spirals. I only saw the trailer for the Japanese one, so I don't know how it ends or anything.
I'm up for that one.
I know that sounds cool too, right?
Don't watch the Chris Rock one.
I was like, I
mean, there's so many better Saws.
I watch too. I do like Chris Rock.
Yeah, I mean, the Saw movies start at the beginning; they're awesome, and they go downhill basically. But I mean, yeah, that one was I was sad because you never see Chris Rock do any acting nowadays. I mean, he did a couple movies here and there, and I was
will always be Pookie from New Jack City to me.
He had a bad goatee. He kept yelling at everybody. You hate when you have cop shows, and after watching hundreds of cop shows, they don't get the cops right. It's like cops don't do that. Cops don't do that. Haven't you even watched Law and Order? They don't even do that in Law and Order. I was like, man, these guys are gonna get worked by Saw. Easy.
I think the first time I ever saw Chris Rock in anything was in I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. Where he goes in and goes, I want one rib.
Yeah.
And if the cup just poured into my hand. that was the first time I ever seen him because we didn't get SNL over here. And yeah, it's just never forgot that. I think even in CB4, they even did a wee.
I love CB4.
Yeah, CB4.
Yes.
There's 3 movies that go together with
Stabmaster Arson.
In the 3, you have to watch them in this order. You watch This Is Spinal. No, 4. Sorry. You watch Phantom of the Paradise.
Oh.
Then you watch This Is Spinal Tap. Then you watch CB4. Then you watch Fear of a Black Hat. And you will never look at the music industry again. Oh, also, honorable mention to Josie and the Pussycats. Because people didn't peep at the time, but if you watch Josie and the Pussycats, there's a lot of stuff that's so true about not only the music industry, but the entertainment industry. It's a real shady movie.
Yeah, Josie and the Pussycats was underrated. It was
a
really good movie. But yeah, CB4, I'm black, yo, and I'm black, yo.
Oh, I love the music in CB4. Oh man!
And Charlie Murphy, God rest him, he was good in it.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh man!
But I like silly stuff. Like I laugh at Pootie Tang, and it's the dumbest.
Is hilarious.
It's the dumbest movie ever, but it's so funny.
Long. Isn't it long too? It's unnecessary.
I don't remember how long it is, but I just know that made me laugh.
Pootie Tang is whips that belt out. It's trouble. This is a real wacky movie. Oh man.
Okay, they're still in the chat trying to guess a movie that Khadijah has seen. Because I bet she's seen College Road Trip with the little pig.
I think did I see College Road Trip? You know what? I have to say, I don't watch as many scary movies. Like the most recent one was The Dahmer and the other one that Mark mentioned. But I'm sure if I'm still visiting Shasha in Florida, she'll have me watching.
Maybe. Did you watch the new Hellraiser? Or?
No.
I'm trying to think what other, because I haven't watched too many recently either. I'm trying to think what else I might have mentioned.
Something I'll rewatch a lot, and I do, is Girlfriends. I love Girlfriends.
Oh, you mean the TV series?
The TV series.
Okay. I don't think I've seen that one.
It was on in the early 2000s, I think.
Yeah,
I've seen a few episodes of it, but I never really got into it like that. Probably my favorite sitcom to watch repeatedly and never gets old to me is The Golden Girls. It's still funny to this day.
Oh yeah.
Me, it's Taxi. I love Taxi. That's always been my favorite sitcom.
And one of the things that people keep saying about another sitcom is that Friends is a replica of Living Single. But I always say Friends is a replica of replica because Living Single is a replica of Golden Girls. Stick with me, everybody in the chat. Okay, so Sinclair is the Rosen Island, and Regine is like Blanche Devereaux. So then Khadijah is like Dorothy. It's the same. They're just younger black versions of those three women. Okay. So then you get to Phoebe, and Phoebe is the Regine that is also the Rosen Island. And it's like the same thing over and over again. And I don't know how no one notices this. Except they made a male counterpart, whereas the three guys, well, in both Living Single and in Friends, you had Overton, who was like a male Rosen Island, and you had Joey, who was like a male Rosen Island. But it's still Rosen Island. It's the same character.
They don't notice. They always expect
They
can keep swapping them, and somebody tunes into one and the other. I mean, there's so much media now; it's overlapping like crazy.
Curly Girl says, "Yay, Girlfriends was my ish."
Yes, I love Girlfriend.
Jervis says facts, and Tommy says Shasha's getting meta right now.
What's
6 degrees of Golden Girls.
What's one of your scariest movies, Sasha? In terms of like stuff that you are
Stuff
scared
that
to walk
actually-
around in the dark after,
Number one, The Exorcist. It doesn't matter how many times I watch that movie, it gets to me every single time. Another one that I won't even watch reviews or analysis of if it's at night is Martyrs. That movie affected me for a week. That movie is the movie that made me start my channel. Because I said I saw Martyrs and I said I need to talk to somebody about this. I need to talk, and that was the first video I did on my channel because I was like, this is just too visceral. I'm wrecked. I can't even sleep at night. This movie, you don't watch Martyrs, you experience it.
It was that bad?
Yeah.
It was?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. For me, it was that bad. It was. It's just the atmosphere of it. I still find the original Hellraiser to be pretty creepy. So when I rewatch it, I mostly rewatch it in the afternoon. Like it's not something I'm going to put on at 11 o'clock at night because there's something creepy about that first original Hellraiser.
Yeah, Candyman as well.
Oh yeah, I'm not watching that alone at night.
Yeah.
Candyman's great.
I still randomly think about that movie. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just how they. I mean, I don't want to bring up. One of the major criticisms I had about Halloween Ends, right, is Michael Myers' presence is exempt from the majority of the film, and I don't just mean his physical appearance in the film, his actual presence. When you watch the original Halloween, or even Halloween 2. You feel that Michael Myers is around. He's somewhere in the shadows, right? Even if he's not on screen, and that botched it by not having that element to it. Whereas Candyman, even though you don't see much of Tony Todd in the film, you feel his presence in every single scene.
Just his voice. When you hear his voice say Helen, it's so creepy.
Well, I just watched it maybe a month or two ago, and it's surprising. He doesn't show up for so late in that movie, and that's what gives that rising dread. Is everybody's talking about this myth, and you haven't seen it, and when he shows up, you're like, oh, and that's great. That's great.
I think the secret's in the camera work. They have these bird's eye view over Chicago and stuff like that, but also even when they're in the University of Illinois. And the way the camera is just moving around the lecture hall and things like that, you just kind of feel it's kind of floating around. Like there is a presence there all the time.
I also think it being shot in Chicago makes it creepier because I this is only my theory. I believe that Chicago is a haunted city there's so many negative things that have happened in Chicago, from the Valentine's Day massacre, the America's first and most prolific serial killer having a hotel with the different rooms that he was killing people and keeping them in. There's a train that crashed. There was a circus train that crashed and burnt and everyone died in that. And then there's just whatever happened before that. There's just so many tragedies on top of tragedies within the same area. I think it gives it a foreboding feeling.
Do you think that may have been the reason? Not just obviously the original story, The Forbidden, was set in Manchester or what have you, and they relocated it to the United States. But not only that, they could have picked any state in America where they had a housing project, but they went for Chicago. Maybe that was the thought process behind it.
Yeah. And also the way that those projects were built, they were the opposite of being conducive to people feeling at home. Like they almost look like a prison cell block.
Yeah.
Like the structure of them were terrible. Yeah. The only other place I've seen projects that are similar are there's some places in China that have, a similar project structure. And it's just, I don't think it's not good for the mental health at all.
No.
The score was also just.
Oh, yes.
I mean, just
the music,
just little notes here and there, just so scary,
haunting.
I also saw that when it's one of those other ones I saw really young, and so it always is under my guard. But watching again recently, I was like, it's not quite as scary, but it is particularly good. And I was disappointed. I was so excited for the new one. I really was. I was like, man, they're going to get this right. Jordan's involved, but he's not all the way involved. Jordan Peele, I was like, man. And I feel like I was let down again. I think it was a nice movie, but it was just forgettable. It doesn't feel like my Candyman,
Right. I was rather impressed by it, to be honest.
You liked it?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it had its problems in comparison to the original, but I don't know. I felt it built on it a lot better. I mean, I've seen parts of some of the other sequels, and they're just absolute dogs.
They're bad.
I also noticed, like, some of the commentary in the new one, a lot of people didn't talk about. A lot of people focused in on, the ending, Candyman is attacking the cops, and I'm like, yeah, Michael Myers just did that with Fireman. What's the difference? y'all are being real fake right now. If you're a horror fan, you know that police don't fare well in any horror movie. I don't know any horror movie where police fared all that well. Or paramedics, yeah. So y'all are just putting 20 on 10. But one of the things I think that it explored was, like, the original Candyman ended up writing into the story. Well, not writing into the story, because I think the Manchester version also explored gentrification and the class divide. Yeah. And so the American version also explored the gentrification, the class divide, but also add the racial aspect, because in the U.S. there is a racial component to our class structure.
Yeah.
The new one went a step further that I think maybe people weren't recognizing because they're so used to seeing Black people as the underclass. But the new character, the way he went about things, even the way they shot him, he was the new Helen, and he was the gentrifier. And he was doing these things like the paintings that he was making and selling them for all this money to live in these, nice, modern apartments, where he was literally making money off of what some people could say off of Black pain, because he's making these paintings of Black people being tortured and killed and getting money off of it. And he didn't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
Now, the thing where it lost me is the disabled man. I get his spirit not being at rest, but I don't think that he should have been an avatar for Candyman, because I don't know. There was just something about it. Maybe if he hadn't have been disabled, I feel like that was because he's a mentally disabled person. Like, I don't like villainizing mentally disabled people. It's just, I just feel like, what?
Yeah.
Just make him a normal guy that having to have a hook.
I don't know. They kind of changed it up a bit, though. That made it out as though Candyman was like you were saying about people getting annoyed about the cops at the end. It was almost like Candyman was like an Avenger a wee bit to an extent, as opposed to being this cursed person.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I've always been fascinated about Candyman is the fact that here he is. This is where they scattered his ashes or whatever was Cabrini Green before it had been built, and he's pretty much cursed to haunt these people, right? Well, he's his own people.
That's what bothered me the most was I really connected with the history aspect of the original background where he was tortured and killed and what they did and when they did it. And it's sad to say, or it's messed up, or maybe it's just a reflection of my life, that I had more trouble connecting with the updated version of the police brutality angle. It seemed to me, and I don't know, I'm not an expert in grading pain, but it just seemed like the original had such a deeper, steeper, and more terrifying end to his creation than the cop brutality case.
Do you think that it's because we're at this point where, I hate to say it, but more desensitized to police brutality in the US? Because it's not something that's rare. It's like something that happens all the time. So it's not as visceral as seeing someone get their hand chopped off and bees and all that other kind of stuff.
Yes, but I also think that that's what gave him that different dimension was that he's been around for like eons. Like he's been around for so long and he had experienced this pain for so long that he was like this ghost that was like a ghost and lived not of our time, and so he was kind of adjusting to our time and updating his
it's almost kind of Dracula-esque when you think about it.
And the new one is like, this guy was on the block like a couple weeks ago, and we feel bad for him, but at the same time, is he really a vengeful ghost yet? I mean, that vengeful ghost was, he had it baking for a while, I guess I like that aspect of it.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It doesn't feel as earned.
Yeah. Even though that's sad to say, because suffering is suffering, right? So but yeah, that's the part that I think early on took me out of it a little bit, and it made me feel it was too updated for my taste. I kind of like the fact that he was ancient, but it still was shot really well, acted really well. I feel maybe at the end I would have wanted a little bit more. I don't know. The first one just leaves you with this creeping dread. I didn't have any creeping dread after watching it. I was like, that was good. That was well shot. It was nice.
Yeah,
but first one,
the end of Candyman, nothing really gets resolved. Besides Helen's husband getting it, Helen's husband deserving to get it. He's such a scumbag. But but all the problems in Cabrini Green, they don't go away. And nothing's resolved, and that's horror to me, right? Is to still being in this horrible world. That's real horror.
People try to change it and it just become a part of it and it just keeps moving forward,
Yeah.
But I also was really young when I watched it.
It's just back to the way it was.
Candyman was the one character I was working really hard to get done that I didn't get done this year. But next year I want to do Pinhead, I want to do Candyman and Jason, because those are some of my favorite characters to, just from an artistic perspective. But Candyman, I missed out. I wanted to get him in the video, but I didn't have the time, and I was looking at the clock, and I was like, I don't think he's gonna fit. But he's such a unique character, and this
when you do it, make sure you give him his original coat.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have the Tony Todd face. I'll have that Tony Todd face and everything.
I will never forget when I was in 4th grade. I had one of my good friends. I don't know if it was a dare, or what, but. Long story short, she ended up going into the bathroom by herself, turning off the lights, and doing the whole Candyman. What was it, 4 or 5 times? In the
5 times.
5 times in the mirror. And she comes out and she's like, "Oh my God, I have scratches on me." And let me tell you, I went years thinking Candyman was real. I didn't end up seeing the original movie until I got a little bit older, which made watching it even more scarier. It was like a part of it.
Yep.
So I really
I couldn't do
for
it.
a lot of years I really thought, oh my God, if I see Candyman in the mirror, he's gonna come get me or something. And
I did not play around the mirror. I was scared. I said at one time he was gonna show up. I said, no, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
I was in high school when the original Candyman came out, and I covered the mirror in my bedroom for a week after watching that movie. Toyman says, Khadijah, have you seen Hatchet 1 through 3 or Victor Crowley?
I have not seen it.
I still haven't seen any of the Hatchet movies either.
Oh, I enjoy those.
I also have not.
Those are for the people who love gore. That's why I'm like, the people who are reacting to Terrifier. I know you haven't seen Hatchet. You haven't seen Pieces. You haven't seen The Burning. You haven't seen. You watch those. I would say, what's a good way to put it? Cutaway slasher movies, like Scream. Scream is a cutaway slasher movie where you're really not going to see, any real gore. I like that Italian stuff. they do gore.
You're deep in the game,
Scream. Scream was targeted towards the mainstream, right?
Yeah,
big time. And it's funny that apparently Wes Craven didn't want to direct Scream. Apparently, it was a fan at a horror convention. They didn't talk him into it, but actually said, when are you going to go make a kick-ass horror movie again? Right? Because they were obviously a bit annoyed that his most recent stuff were quite tame. I mean, The People Under the Stairs is a great movie, but as far as a horror film goes, it is quite tame, right?
Yeah. Very tame, yeah.
Yeah, so it was from the fans saying that to him at the horror convention. They eventually took up the offer to do Scream because he turned it down originally. The Weinsteins had offered it to him and he turned it down.
I think the original was creative. And unfortunately, like a lot of things that are really creative and really cool, if they have legs, they're gonna run with it forever.
I don't know what it is. That opening scene, I mean, now it's been parodied and sent up and ripped off so many times, but that opening scene with Drew Barrymore,
right?
My heart was, and I was well versed on horror by the time Scream came around, but my heart was racing. I thought that scene was brilliantly done. The editing,
it was fun.
The work, just fantastic. And the rest of the movie delivered the goods as well. I love Scream.
Yeah, it's a classic. You mentioned these Hatchet series. I've never heard of them. So you're saying these are not American films? These are.
Oh no, Hatchet is an American series.
Okay.
It's a new slasher. Hatchet, I would put him in the same class as like Pumpkinhead or Dark Knight of Scarecrow type slasher, where it's a supernatural slasher that.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Jason Voorhees also falls into that.
But I've never,
because these are
from the 70s or 80s. Why have I never?
Oh no, it's more modern. The first Hatchet maybe came out in 2000. And
oh wow!
I don't know when did the first Hatchet come out?
How did I miss it? That's interesting. It must have slipped through.
Or something, is it not?
2006 is when the first Hatchet came out.
Wow, jeez.
And speaking of Kane Hodder, I had the pleasure of watching the premiere of Hatchet 2 sitting next to Kane Hodder, and the sweetest individual you ever want to meet. And whenever there was a kill, he kept on elbowing me, going, "Hey, watch this." He was this really, really nice, big, huge teddy bear of a man. Let's see here. Oh yeah, Tony Man says, any movie a ripped off arm holding a cell gets shoved up a coochie and through the head and still works is a movie for me. Yeah, that's the type of gore that happens in Hatchet. I want to premiere something that Mark has been working diligently on for how long did it take you to do this, Mark?
The trailer?
Yeah.
A little bit here, a little bit there. I'm a nights and weekends guy, so I got a 3-year-old and I'm full-time dad, so I do commissions nights and weekends, and I'd say I don't know. I mean, in total time, maybe a month.
Of
time, but spread out over 2 years, right? Because I remember we were aiming to have this thing ready to go last Halloween, and I didn't get there. But I've actually changed a lot of my art techniques since then, so to speed things up and just more time in, getting faster at it, So I was glad. I think it's a lot better now than it would have been last year. The music's better too.
Okay, I'm going to premiere it right now. This is my new intro that Mark has made for me, and I'm so thankful. He also did the background music. He is excellent with musical production.
Thank you.
So here it is. I love that. Purple's my favorite color.
Cool. I like that.
Purple is my favorite color. Let me advance it to look at Chucky.
That was dope.
I'll put Freddie on there. There is a question for you in the chat. Let me go back up. Tony Man says, "Hey Mark, off topic question I meant to ask. What program do you use to animate or make intros? Are you using Adobe?"
No. I'm actually using let me just check here so I get it right, and I'll make sure I'm right here. I actually use a program called Wondershare Filmora, and it's very basic, and I'm very basic as a as a video producer. I'm actually using Adobe Photoshop 7 from 1997.
Oh wow.
I love it. I bought it with the college discount when I went into my first season or first part of college, and I love it. And so basically everything I do is pen and ink, draw it, trace it, use all the collab, and then scan it all in, take out all the white, and then I color everything in Photoshop. So this is actually like 60 slides. So the illusion that things are moving, nothing is actually moving. Nothing is being made with video effects. It's all drawings that I just kind of stitch together like a flip book. That's why I'm slow. It takes me forever to get these things out. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
That's really cool.
Lovely.
I'm sorry?
Your artwork's great. I was admiring your stuff on Instagram earlier today, and it was just wow. Some of it was just.
I just have a lot of. I don't sleep that much, so that helps a lot. And Shasha knows she doesn't sleep either.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I think that's a family thing.
I was just gonna say, does that run in the family? Because that's with my ideas
like
too at night, and I can't sleep.
Any one of our cousins, you can text them at 2:30 in the morning, and chances are we're up.
The thing is, we can't stop. For us, we're all creative people here,
Mhm.
and you guys probably have the same thing where it's you can't turn it off.
Mhm.
So a lot of times I'll wake up and be like, just go down there and start doing it. You're already doing it in your head, So
Mhm.
if you're already drawing, you're already creating your work or your medium, or you're working on your show, and it's after a while you're just like, get this out of my head. It's got to get on paper. It's got to get out there.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, it's
Terrence.
funny that you say that, Mark, because the other night I was thinking of that scene from Ghostbusters where Gozor says, "Choose your destructor," and all the Ghostbusters go, "Okay, empty your heads, right?" So I thought to myself, I was lying in bed and I couldn't. My brain's like that as well. I just can't rest, right? And I thought I'll empty my head. I'll think of something. I'll just think of complete blackness. And as soon as I said blackness to myself in my mind, I thought of that tar creature from Creepshow 2. I thought to myself, if Gozor was saying to me, "Choose your destructor," I would have got that bloody tar creature coming after me. So, yeah.
Creativity is hard to turn off. All you can do is try to focus it, and being around creative people, they get it. That's why I love working with other people. I'm working, to build my own comic, and that'll take some time to get done. But working with Shasha, working with other people, doing commissions, it's that external motivation that often gets you out of your comfort zone, gets you working in different areas. I liked horror, but working with Sasha, I got to like focus in on how much I like it, and I really like it now. And not just from the movie perspective, but actually drawing it. And I hadn't drawn that much of it before, but I'm finding like this is the jam. I mean, I really enjoy it. Doing the Chatterer characters, the Pinhead characters, the Hellraiser characters. I'm like, man, I've got to incorporate more of this into what I do. It's just something just kind of falls together with my music too, because my music is creepy and weird. So I was like, okay, I found a home for my weird music now too. It's basically like Nightmare Trap. Essentially, that's what I make. So it's been a pleasure doing it, and we're going to continue to do this. And anybody else who's looking for services, commissions, anybody needs help with all this
definitely. I will have everybody's contact information in the description box here. It's hard with the teeth. I want to pop them out. I'm trying hard not to pop them out. Norrin says, what is everyone's overall thoughts on horror films this year? I feel it was a very solid year. Yeah. I think so too. I think 2022 has been, especially the trailers we just watched. Yeah. Those are a lot of new properties that are not sequels or remakes. And I like that there's a lot of that happening. We still had our fair share of sequels and remakes this year, but I feel like this year we got a lot of new intellectual properties.
I feel like people are trying to say, let's do something else in terms of this year. Yeah.
Tired of the old franchises getting taken out and whipped again. It's just,
I
know, it's just, I'm glad that Halloween has ended for now, at least, right? Right. And then we'll give other people some room.
Yeah,
I know that they're going to be dragging up Jason.
Oh, Blumhouse is trying to get the rights to Friday the 13th. So, and it was Blumhouse that brought us. It's like Blumhouse is good and bad at the same time, because they'll bring us stuff that's retreads, but then they'll bring us something really cool, in my opinion, like a Barbarian, a Malignant.
Malignant was fun.
Yeah, Megan that's coming up. I think what they're doing is they're using these tentpole movies to fund the smaller films that maybe wouldn't get the funding without it.
Yeah,
that's what I think they're doing.
A21's out on a ledge too.
Oh yeah,
and they're developing that ledge, and I love that when you kind of create your own lane, and then you start driving down it, and you're like, nobody can drive down my lane. Because they've developed their own little area, and it's expanding. It's almost becoming kind of almost tropey within themselves what they're doing. I've watched maybe half of their movies or less. I've watched all of their trailers. I mean, they just have a great way of presenting their material. And sometimes I'm like, man, that was a great trailer. I don't even need to watch the movie. That trailer was really cool.
Well, there was
I'll just imagine the rest,
There was one movie this year I didn't watch because of the trailer, and that was The Invitation, because it showed the whole movie, including the twist ending. I'm like, well, don't need to watch it now. You just spoiled the ending in the trailer. Why did you do that?
Men
the opposite of that.
Crazy.
Men.
21. That one went off the rails at the end.
At the end,
I gotta give them credit, because if you go off the rails, go completely off. Just go off. And they don't have any fear over there. And I like that. So A21's doing good work out there.
The trailer that did the opposite was Barbarian. They showed so little that it helped the movie.
Definitely. If they had done more, I almost screwed it up for you, Terry. If they had done more, they would have done a disservice to it.
Yeah, you have to watch Barbarian, Terry, so we can talk about it.
Oh, you'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy it.
Steve, you were saying about Friday the 13th. I had this conversation with King Gore a wee while back, right? Big shout out to King Gore, right? Is that with Friday the 13th, it's how can you get that wrong, right? It is very basic. You get a bunch of teenagers go to Camp Crystal Lake. They get killed off one by one. I mean, that's the basic premise, isn't it? Every time. The only thing that they need to do
Crystal Lake counselor.
Yes.
The only thing they need to do right is just give us some amazing kill scenes, because that's all people want to see, right? How hard is that to get right?
Well, they've gotten it wrong a couple times, like with Jason Goes to Manhattan, where half the time he's his little kid self, and then with Jason Goes to Hell with the worm creature. There was some really good gore in it. I will give it that, and it did tease the Freddy versus Jason because at the very end, the Freddy's claw. But other than that, it was not what you would consider a Friday the 13th movie.
Am I terrible in saying that I enjoyed Jason in Space because I love all space movies?
That's
that has some of the best kills. That dry ice kill is
yeah.
Man, that movie cracks me up all the time because it's like, no way, man. How did he get to space?
Yeah, they got to do that with Michael because Leprechaun went to space. Even Pinhead went to space, and Part 4 Bloodline, Pinhead was in
Bloodline.
space.
Yep. Oh, man.
I send Freddy to the Hood though. Freddy in the Hood. Telling you,
we're gonna wrap up soon.
Hood, yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to say that we got to wrap up soon. I didn't realize how late it was. Our conversation was so good. I didn't think we would get past like an hour because I was like, I don't have any questions prepared. It's just because when I do these chill streams, I usually have nothing prepared. It's just literally just a chill session to just let the conversation go where it goes, and then usually the chat will do like they did today. Tell us what trailer to watch and react to, and that type of thing. It's like a full conversation. Tony Man does have a question. We'll do 3 more comments and then I'm going to close out. He says, I saw a Blumhouse movie on Thursday called Dashcam. Has anyone seen it? I have not seen Dashcam yet, but it sounds similar to Spree, which I really enjoyed. Sexy Monkey says, I never wanted to see that, but maybe I'm in the minority there. I'm not sure which thing. Jason X is is like smoking good weed. Jervis Horton says.
Yes.
I think I saw it, that condition when I first saw it.
And Tony says Jason in Space is the movie theater was awesome. Yes, the crowd reaction was great.
I have to come back to the original question. I think scariest movie for me in my life, because I watched it pretty young, was Event Horizon. I think I have to go with that.
I had to turn that off the first time I watched it. I was so scared.
That one, they could do a remake of that, and I would be looking forward to it. Even if it was, I would have my fingers crossed the whole time, hoping for a remake. It was terrific.
No, I'm a bit. Event Horizon was just perfect. Wow,
it's great.
What I loved about that movie is when it came out, no one knew what it was about. It's not a film that it really sort of gave itself away. It was just haunted spaceship, haunted house in space. That was it.
Yep.
The first Hellraiser in space, in my opinion, it had a very much the same feel as Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And actually, there was a director's cut, but I guess the studio scrapped it because I don't know, some issue with the producers, and they burned the extra footage. So that sucks so much.
Yeah, I think it could have gotten a worse rating.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. No.
Apparently, the stuff on the previous crews, footage, the footage of the previous crew, apparently there was a hell of a lot more of that. It's gone. Yeah.
That was something else. I mean, I almost felt like that I shouldn't be watching it. I was like, this is too much. I didn't expect it to go there, and there really hasn't been anything like that. There's aliens, there's other things, but that type of terror in space, that pure Lovecraftian unknown, dimension, it just hasn't been done again. I haven't seen it in any real form like that. So yeah, that was my scariest, and I watched that when I was pretty young too. So I was like, that haunted me.
Perfect.
Man, I wish we could continue because the conversation is so good, but I gotta wrap it up. So hopefully Terry can take a nap between this stream and his stream that he's going to have at 8 p.m. tonight on his channel.
Got plenty of caffeine pills.
Yeah. Be careful with that. That can affect your heart. B12. That's what I did. I took some B12. Let me scroll over here. To remind y'all to check out Hood Podcast on Monday. We will have News of the Weird, and this week I don't think we are reviewing any shows, but if you want to check out our last week's show, we did talk about House of the Dragon and Rings of Power, or as I call it, Rings of Boredom. And the week before that, we did a season review of She-Hulk, along with the News of the Weird that we usually do. If you want to find Mark, definitely go over to Dark Mego Music.
Yeah.
Also Dark Mego channel, and also on Instagram is Dark Mego. everywhere is Dark Mego, so you can definitely hit him up, follow him on both platforms. He also has merch out with his artwork on it.
Yeah,
so you can go to
my
his
problem
channel
is my branding is suspect right now. I really need to solidify. One thing I would say
George,
is
I'm going to stop you. You're doing great. No negative talk. You're
I just
doing
want to
great.
say, if people check out Tape Night Studios, I'm sorry, Tay, you said?
None of that's false modesty. Come on, you're
No,
awesome.
no. My problem is that I have the art and music. I'm pushing them together, but they're not fully pushed together. If you go to like Tape Night Studios, for instance, you can see like the full run of like production credits that I've done for different companies, like art design projects. You know, for dog walkers to rap production houses and stuff like that. So it's more of all the art. This is where the music should be, but the music is not there right now. Hopefully, have some albums next year. We'll see.
Excellent.
And this is Terrence's channel. Again, 8 o'clock Eastern. We're going back live again to do more talking about horror. And also, I believe, oh, you know what?
Halloween Madness.
Yes. I should have had that visual instead. My
like
bad.
That wallpaper is great.
This one? Yeah.
This one too.
Yeah.
Yes.
And of course, Khadijah has her website, Kiki Mary Styles. Again, store-wide sale, no code needed, prices as marked. Also very size inclusive, by the way. And a side venture she has is Dazzling Tress Luxury Hair as well.
That's nice. Thanks. Check that out. And fun fact, I got my inspiration to launch my online boutique store from actually Lady Shasha. I think it was when I was 15 years old. I went to go visit Lady Shasha when I was younger. I went for the summer, and she helped me like open up my first eBay store of like reselling like used items and kind of
like purses. I think you did purses.
Yeah, like
you did accessories. There were like purses and hats.
Yeah, hats, accessories, and that kind of correlated into me when I'm like at my age now, starting my store. So, just a little fun fact to throw out
terrific.
There. Yeah,
you got a head start for sure. It's
yeah,
awesome.
right.
Yeah. Do you design your own stuff too, Khadijah?
Some of the pieces are like custom pieces, and then some of them I kind of order wholesale. So a little bit of both.
It's great.
I do have some
really
designs that I am working on now that I kind of want to put out there, but not yet. In the works.
It's great. It's really cool.
Very, very great.
Yeah.
I want to say again.
Me? Yeah, well done, Kanisha. Awesome.
Hmm? Oh,
he says, well done.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
With that, thank you to my guests. Y'all are so solid. I really appreciate you for coming through, because I really kind of threw this together last minute because I had a little bit of a, like, I don't know. I couldn't think of what to do for the live stream. And I couldn't think. I hit like a, what you would call like a writer's block, but not with writing. And I wasn't sure where to proceed. And I usually am more planned out.
I like the thumbnail. It was great.
Oh, thanks. That took me a while. Yeah, sometimes I make thumbnails and I'm like, this doesn't look good. This doesn't look good. And I just keep finagling with it. And other days I can get it like that real quick. But with that,
you got these personalities right here. You don't have to work that hard. Josh, we got you.
Oh, yes, definitely. And I have to give really, really special thank you to Terrence, because I realized that at the time that I started my stream, because he's in Scotland, I'm pretty sure you had to be up at like 9 or 10 in the morning to participate in the stream. And I'm so thankful that you have the energy that you have.
Oh no. It was 8:15 at night here.
Oh, no, I'm going backwards instead of forwards. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're forward. 5 hours forward, not 5 hours behind. My bad. I don't know why I was thinking the opposite way. Okay.
I think I've done it Japanese.
Yeah, you know what it is? Because I'm so used to converting Korean time in my head in Australian. So I'm always thinking, oh, it's the morning over there. And no, you're not that far east. All right. Oh, thank you to the chat. You guys are always a pleasure and a joy. Yes. And I love how, I swear, my chat is the most respectful chat I never have to worry about really banning
Very cool.
anyone or checking anyone. Everyone comes through with something intelligent to say or something funny to say.
Jokes.
And yeah, I'm like, y'all are just, I love that this channel has attracted really great people. And with that, I'm going to get out of here.
Let it go.